New sheet of paper. I've got half an hour left that I'm allowed, that I can stream. I haven't saved yet. Speedrun hop, yes, exactly. Okay. Did it auto-save me? Okay, you know what? We're going over to Frankie's profile, because Frankie's clean. There's a lot of things that could have fucked that up. I think maybe playing in my Ariana profile did it, but we're playing in Frankie's profile now. He's a good boy, he will not betray us. We're fucking speedrunning this. Are you guys ready? Okay, I'm not gonna name my character Dingus now. Let's go Bingus! Chillin' and like talking, and all of a sudden like I see a little tarantula, because they get them in Texas. I've seen tarantulas just like on my front porch before. They're like chill, but like don't mess with them. And then I see this wasp the size of like as long as my index finger just attack the thing and then drag its corpse away. And I said, "Excuse me, relatives, what in God's name was that terrifying creature?" And they said, "Oh, that's a tarantula hawk." And I said, "What?" And they said, "Yeah, it's a tarantula hawk. They're these big-ass bugs, and they eat tarantulas. They live around here." And I'm like, why? If they live here, why do you live here? Because that's horrifying. You're too late. Your chemicals in the water cannot turn me gay. I am already there. The fuck was I talking about? Half of your audience is Ace Star. I know! I have attracted a good crowd. What's up, everybody? I'm totally gonna win this one, you guys. I got this in the bag. I'm Mario Kart champion. Yes, I am a squid at fucking hyperspeed. Let's go. Oh shit! Right at the end. Right at the end. Just let all the anxieties flow out of you.
Exactly. And as you have nothing to support your wild claims, the prosecution stance remains unchanged. The victim, Dr. John H. Wilson, was killed by a gunshot to the titty.
Frogs gay, look. Got all the frogs are gay. And now it's the sharks! Oh, Lord. What's up, nerds? Why isn't my mouth... There we go. What is up, everybody? Hi! Hello! Y'all are active in the chat before I got started. What's up? What's up, everybody? Who's ready for the great Ace Attorney 2? Me, it's me. I just did the arm motion like that Peggle 2 joke. So yeah, that was... I know that my character cannot move her arms or anything besides her face, but you have to imagine that that's the motion that I did, because that's what I did. Ace Attorney 2! It's the remix! Alright, so I'm gonna say hi to the chat real quick. Dim EDS, hello. Abjamaranth, hello. Donim Theron, hello. Catboy Disaster, hello. Hi, guys. And hello to all my lurkers. What's up? Who's ready for some other heckin' Ace Attorney? Me. So here's my two things. Number one is I made a mistake, and I ate an overly large dinner right before the stream started, because I was like, yeah, 4:30 is a great time to eat dinner. I'll totally have time to digest before the stream. Mistakes were made. And then also, I've just been thinking about this game very much. And like, so we're starting the second game today. And I'm very excited, but I'm also nervous as shit. Cause like, they left enough stuff open, and like, that fucking last scene opened up a lot of questions. A lot of questions. And I'm like, I'm excited to continue on the Ace Attorney adventure, but also I am fucking terrified of things that could be happening in the next couple of cases. Yeehaw! I'm scared. Yeah, Kazuma, what the fuck did you do? Did he... My thought was, after this stream, I had the thought of, oh no, Kazuma got canceled and this secret government dossier is a call-out post. Kazuma, what did you do? Why do people know about you? Why? I mean, listen, I know about you. I love you. I get it. Maybe some of the British folks also are in Kazuma-loving hell, just like me, but like, what happened, my son? My boy? What happened? Did you get canceled? Did you cut someone in half and they thought he's like, oh my god, Kazuma's so toxic. Oh my god. Anyway. Ace Attorney 2 time. Government Secrets is the Hot Lemon Sherlock Holmes fanfic club. I never want to read that sentence again. Let's play Ace Attorney! So I tried to start earlier and it made like an autosave of like that very last scene. I'm like, okay, well that's not what we want. I don't want to watch the credits again. So I think we have to like go manually select the right game. Let's fucking go! I'm so hyped for this, you guys. I'm hype out of my mind. Oh, shh, plot. Katie. Oh, hi, baby girl. Oh no! Did her dad die?
Lying here in the bright sunshine, looking out over the vast ocean. Those days in London seem like a dream. But I do miss my time in England's vast capital.
Did her dad die? He was sick last time.
You know, he's flourished into a truly wonderful lawyer. I've no doubt that at this very moment, he's fighting some noble cause in court.
Or is this Kazuma's grave? Whose is it? I can't read. I don't think that's how Kazuma's name is spelled, though. I don't know.
For taking so long to come to visit you. My life has been such a whirlwind since I returned. And no one could have predicted what has happened. Just 2 months after arriving home.
What's happening? Oh shit, you again.
So I came here today to ask something of you. Tomorrow, I shall be standing in court. For the only time in my life. As a lawyer.
What? Baby girl's all grown up! Are we gonna finally cook this fucking goose? Oh, she's been cooked already!
I ask for your guidance. Kazuma-sama.
Oh, it is Kazuma's grave. Oh, that means your dad might still be alive, but it's still sad. Oh, shit! Baby girl's all grown up! What happened? Oh my god, are we playing as Susato? Yeah, she had it coming. She had it coming. She only had herself to blame. Bum, bum. We're playing a Susato? I think we are. Holy shit! We're playing a Susato! Oh my god, this is the best. This is the best immediately. Immediately the best shit. I am so on board. Why was I nervous about this game at all? Hang on, let me take a drink. I'm so fucking hyped, let's go. I have to remember my Susato voice.
Here I am again after 9 months, the Supreme Court of Judicature of Japan. I feel so nervous, but I must steel my nerves and find a way to compose myself.
Oh cool, her dad's not dead. Okay, I was worried. I'm still sad about Kazuma, and Kazuma's grave is very dramatic. But I'm glad that her dad's not dead yet. I gave him a stupid voice.
Ah, good, you're here. It doesn't do for a lawyer to be late. Oh, yes, good morning, sir.
I hardly recognize you. You cut a fine figure, Counsel. Oh. But you look as white as a sheet, and those wide eyes aren't doing you any favors either.
Oh dear. The truth is, I'm so incredibly nervous I feel utterly nauseated.
I almost wish that I'd never been Susato, no, baby, it's okay. Goodness, not the sort of thing a father hopes to hear from his daughter, I must say.
Yujin Mikotoba, professor of medicine at the Imperial Yume University. A man who, earlier in his life, traveled to Great Britain to study the advances in forensic medical science. And of course, my brilliant father.
Who's this? Excuse me. Oh, she's adorable! Hi! Hello! Oh god, I have to do 2 girl voices.
Would I be correct in thinking that you're to be my lawyer in court today? Yes, that's right, miss.
Oh, she cute.
Well, I want to thank you for agreeing to represent me.
Who is this?
I swear on my life. It's a complete fabrication, this whole thing!
She's adorable.
Rei Membami, born the same year as I, and my greatest friend.
Oh, she better not die too! There's terrible things happen when you call people your friends in this game. They fucking die. Remember me. Oh, she has death flags all over her now. Oh, she better not. She's cute. But that's what happens when you call people your friend in this game. They die immediately.
Though unusual for a woman in our time, she works at the University Research Laboratory helping my father. And sadly, she's the defendant in today's trial, accused of committing a truly awful murder. Are you feeling all right? Since we started talking, you seem, well, to have become a little flushed. Oh, my, it's just that you look so gallant and dashing.
I want to see my girl.
Sorry? And when I fall under your intense gaze, it makes me feel rather bashful.
Gay! Gay! Bless! She better not die! I was like, oh, real upset. Goodness, I don't think she knows. She hasn't realized who I am. It would seem our little plan for this trial is going to work.
Oh, what do you mean, Professor Mikotoba?
If even your best friend can't see through the disguise, I think we can relax.
Disguise?
Yes, I've never tried dressing this way before, of course, so I wasn't sure how convincing it would be. Show me! Show me! Show me! Show me! Show me what she's wearing!
But this does make me feel a little relieved, as you say, Father. Father? What? Is that you, Susato? I'm sorry I didn't say something sooner, Rei. It's just that— No! What are you doing? What's going on? What? That varsity uniform, that varsity cap, that varsity cape, that varsity badge. Look at you. You look all the world just like a student at the Imperial Yume University. A male student.
Oh? Show me! Show me! Show me!
I'm glad you think so. It means all my preparations have been worthwhile. I woke at 4 this morning to make a start. But I don't understand. Why are you dressed like that? Well, you see...
It was the only way. The only way she could be permitted into the Supreme Court to take on your defense in this trial. Oh yeah, they were shitty about that in the first game.
My defense?
Because they're all shitty and sexist and wouldn't let her into the courtroom earlier. And now she's fucking doing a what's the main character of Oron's name? I forgot. How do he something? I don't remember. I haven't watched Oron in a long time.
Never before in my life have I felt so frustrated at having been born into this body. Courts in Japan are barred to women. We're not even allowed to set foot inside the courtroom.
Boo!
Despite the fact that the laws of the land still apply to all people, male and female alike. But women are forbidden. Just for today, I'll be leaving my true self at the courtroom door, so that I can act as your lawyer. Oh, Susato, you'd go to such lengths for me?
Haruhi Fujioka, that's her name, thank you.
Of course, you're my greatest friend. I just worry that I shan't be the lawyer you deserve. Oh no, I have complete faith in you. Ray. It's so strange, though. I mean, you're such an accomplished judicial assistant already. And yet, just because you're a woman... What a wretched reason! I mean, why shouldn't you be allowed in court? You're so gallant and dashing!
Show me!
Ray? Please don't look at me like that, with those flushed cheeks and doting eyes.
No, do it. Yay.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's just, you really do look so dashing. Yes, you mentioned that once or twice.
You should be pleased. It means you look convincing as a man.
I am pleased, I think. It certainly helped to bolster my confidence today. Ray, you're managing to put on a brave face in all this, but I can see right through it. I've noticed how your shoulders are slumped and how you're trembling ever so slightly. Susato, you do believe me, don't you? I didn't do it. I couldn't have. I mean, murder. Of course. You have nothing to worry about. Your conscience is perfectly clean. Isn't that right? Yes. Yes, it is. Perfectly clean. I have absolutely no doubt in my mind about your innocence, which is why I'll stand by you until the bitter end in this trial. Whatever happens, I'll always be on your side.
Yay! I love it! We love to see it. New ship, new chip. That's supposed to be a steamship horn, and it didn't really work.
Because that's what it means to be a defense lawyer. Yeah, it does. She's learned so much. I love her. That means so much to me, Susato.
Defendant, counsel. Court is about to begin. Proceed to the courtroom at once. You should go in at once, Ray. If you're late, the judge won't hesitate to pronounce you guilty.
Oh. Stand aside! She's so cute. I don't think I've ever seen her run so fast.
Well, Susato, you certainly surprised your father. Going to such lengths to be admitted into the courtroom, and with no prior experience of being a lawyer.
There was simply no other way. That's all there is to it. But, Father, you haven't told her, have you? I mean, I'm right in assuming that Ray doesn't know how it came to this.
Yes, quite right. I've kept that information from her. It would only worry her if she found out that no other lawyer would agree to take her case. Of course that's what happened. Very Ace Attorney. I didn't want to burden her with that.
And is it true? The reason why every other lawyer is refusing to take the case? Is it really because of who the victim was?
She'd had it coming. She had it coming. She only had herself to blame. Bap, bap. We should be making a move now, too. As you know, law isn't my field, but I'll do what I can to support my student.
Thank you, Father.
Yeah, when they stabbed her, did they stab the goose, too?
I'm Suzaru Mikotoba, a judicial assistant. 8 months ago, I accompanied a student of law on a study trip to Great Britain. But 2 months ago, due to unforeseen circumstances, I found myself back in Japan. Hey, baby boy. How many times have I wished that he were here, I wonder? Still, I have no choice now but to steel myself for the trial ahead. Wish me luck, Naruhodo-san. Let's fucking go! Oh, baby. This court is now in session to hear the trial of Raymond Bami. The prosecution is fully ready to proceed, Your Excellency. Oh, good, I get to do this dude's voice again. Oh! Oh my god! She looks so... Girl! Yes! Queen Slay! Yes! And with the pink... Oh my god! She's so cute! Baby girl! Fuck yes! Defense counsel, are you ready? Yes, Your Excellency, we are ready. Ready? Oh, she's got the eyes. She's got the nervous eyes. Ah, yes, counsel. According to your registration details, your name is, Ryutaro Naru... Oh my god, Ryutaro Naruhodo, is that correct? Sorry? Oh yes, I had to come up with a suitable male name for you for this little adventure. Okay, here, sorry, I'm going on a tangent real quick because this is actually something that confused me. I had a couple people come up to me at San Japan and accidentally call Ryunosuke Ryutaro, and I'm like, 2 people made that same mistake. What is that about? Is it because of this? So I'm afraid I simply put down the first name I'd sprung to mind. Well, counsel. Yes, that's right. That's me. Yes, I am Ryutaro, he who is vowed to uphold the pride of the great Naruhodo clan.
That clears up some confusion I had, actually.
It seems Ryutaro may need to consider how to better uphold his manly act first and not overdo it. And those wild, wide eyes aren't doing you any favors either. Just relax and listen. Naruhodo? A fresh face in this courtroom, if I'm not mistaken. But the name Naruhodo, would that perchance be... You may be thinking of Ryunosuke Naruhodo, currently in Britain as part of a study program. This is his cousin. And they were cousins. Oh my god, they were cousins. That's right. Ryutaro here has been studying in the provinces, but was called to the capital for this trial. I assure you, in matters of law, his knowledge rivals that of any of Tokyo's preeminent lawyers. Any of them? Tut, tut, tut. What a pitiful situation. Having been rejected by every lawyer in the capital, the accused has to call in a country boy. How dare you! Suzaru is every bit as gallant and dashing as any of your Tokyo attorneys. I won't have you making fun of her. Ray. Her? Oh, Please be careful, Ray. What an unrefined tomboy we have here. But I wonder, is your gallant and dashing lawyer up to the challenge of defending you? His wide, skittish eyes very much suggest that he is not. I'm so nervous. Now that I'm standing in his shoes, I'm starting to understand what Naruhodo-san goes through. Like it or not, eyes are want to flit. Baby girl. The case to be heard on this day is a matter of great significance to our national interests. In fact, it would be reasonable to assume that the outcome of this trial may well affect the very future of our empire. Round 2. Been here before. Just like the trial 9 months ago. That's what I just said, ouchie. Get it through your balding skull. And yet for the proceedings of such importance, we have this Unknown yokel by the dock? Dear me.
Perhaps this would be an appropriate moment for a tutorial level, to determine whether you are sufficiently competent to practice in this courtroom. 9 months ago, when a certain other Naruhodo stood where you're standing now, this same judge tested him as well, in the tutorial level. In case you forgot how to play the game since Monday. And even though he was just a student at the time, not even of law, he passed the test with flying colors. So if you fuck up, you're really gonna embarrass me. For a trained and experienced judicial assistant like you, this will be easy. So, counsel, do you consent to answering some simple questions?
All right, it's time to prove myself. Oh. Yes, Your Excellency, but please do make them simple.
Very well. To start with, you will state the name of the victim.
Whew, that is simple. I couldn't forget that if I tried.
She's gonna forget. If you ever do a second run of the Ace Attorney charms where you have the backside of the Susato charm be in that outfit. Yeah, I keep seeing that like a couple characters have like alternate outfits in the second game. And so I've already ordered the first run of Ace Attorney charms, but I didn't order that many. So I'm going to have them at Anime Week in Atlanta. And then once they sell out, I'm probably going to redo the design so that they have alternate colors on the back. Like I know that Ryu and Susato have DLC outfits. Sholmes has one too, but I have his casual on the back. So I want to beat this game first, and then when I do a reprint, I'll probably add the other outfits. Or maybe this one for Susato, I don't know, but it's cute. What's the matter?
Now that I'm standing in his shoes, I'm starting to understand something else Naruhodo-san goes through. Like it or not, minds are want to blank.
Yeah, Iris also has another outfit, but like the thing was, I didn't want to draw any of the second game outfits before I played it. I wanted to experience it first. So first run of charms will not have them, but second run of charms will probably also have them. It's not surprising, really. It's your first time in this position and in that guise. Even a bright spark like you is bound to flicker and falter under the circumstances.
Oh dear, this is a dismal failure.
Don't fret. You need only use the knowledge you've gained as a judicial assistant to overcome the problem. Look at the fucking court record.
Of course, the court record. Yes, the answer will be amongst the key information about the case in the court record that I don't have the button for yet.
That's right, just use R to open the court record. Then you need to flip to the people section with R. And don't take too long over it. His Excellency is watching you closely.
She's so cute. All right, check the court record with R. That's where the information I need will be.
The victim of the case, who was a former British exchange student. Fucking rip. Look at this asshole. I'm waiting, counsel. What is the name of the victim in this case?
Yes! She's gonna raise her little hand. The name of the victim who lost her life in this case is Miss Giselle Brett. Giselle Brett.
A name that will never be forgotten in the courtrooms of our country, I'm sure. I was actually that was one of the things I was thinking about was, like, I wonder if in this game, we're gonna, like, go hunt down Brett and give her just desserts and we're gonna get revenge. I didn't think that her death was gonna be the tutorial case of the second game. Damn, get wrecked, girl. Correct. And being a member of our empire's judiciary, you will be well aware of the significance of that name. So, let me pose another simple question. As you know, Miss Brett was a visiting student from the Empire of Great Britain. Why, then, is her name indelibly associated with our own empire's judicial history? Obviously, you won't have forgotten that case from 9 months ago. You just played it like a month ago. In real time. But if it's proving hard to recall the finer points, everything you need is included in the court record.
Obviously, I still remember. And that was the start of everything. Giselle Brett. Behind the woman's student persona was the face of...
Queen Victoria!
Yes! 9 months ago, a visiting professor of medicine at the Imperial Yume University was killed. And the culprit was Giselle Brett. Yes, she was a killer. At the time, our country had just signed a new treaty with the Empire of Great Britain. And it was in the midst of this delicate diplomatic situation that the incident occurred. An Englishman, Dr. John H. Wilson, was shot dead with a bullet to the titties. I believe he was an associate of yours, Professor Mikotoba. Oh. Yes, I was indebted to the man. He'd been my mentor when I went to London to study forensic medicine. Yeah, Iris's dad. She still doesn't know. Indeed, it was I who visited him here in Japan as a visiting professor at the university, who invited him here to Japan as a visiting professor at the university. Naturally, the murder of an Englishman on our soil was a matter the government wished to resolve rapidly. Indeed it was, which is why a secret trial was conducted here at the Supreme Court. Look at this wide-eyed baby boy. A student at the Imperial Yume University was arrested on suspicion of murder. A second-year English language student by the name of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Oh, so that was actually something that confused me, because I'm not sure if they ever said what he was, like, studying. Before he switched to law on the fucked up boat. I guess that makes sense why he can speak English so well, then. Hi, Kazuma. With the help of his best friend, a student lawyer, the accused conducted his own defense and exposed the despicable crime committed by Miss Giselle Brett. What voice am I doing? Miss Brett eventually admitted to her crime. However, when questioned about the motive that drove her to take Dr. Wilson's life, she gave no satisfactory answer before the trial reached its conclusion. Immediately after the trial, the British government brought its consular jurisdiction into play. We were unable to sentence Miss Brett according to our empire's laws. It was decided that she would be removed to Shanghai, China instead. Why Shanghai? There's a British consular court there. Correct. I oversaw the negotiations personally. The date of her transfer to Shanghai was finally settled upon only last week. All that remained of our empire's obligations was to see the woman safely on board the steamship. And then something fucking happened. And yet, the very day before her departure, the Englishwoman was killed. Only the day before? Fucking rip. That will do. I'm satisfied that the counsel for the defense is sufficiently capable of representing the defendant. Oh. Thank you, Your Excellency. Over the first hurdle. Now, a summary of the incident, if you please. Prosecutor Ouchie. As is your wish, Your Excellency. The repugnant crime took place on the 11th August in broad daylight. Oh, that's pretty. I like that art. On the outskirts of the imperial capital, under a bright blue sky, at a secluded bathing spot by the sea. The incident occurred inside a small beach hut erected for bathers to rest or change their clothes. The cause of death was a single stab wound to the posterior abdomen that pierced the victim's lung, an injury which proved fatal. There were two persons alone together in the beach hut at the time of the victim's death. Miss Brett, in her bathing attire, and the accused, Ray Mimbami. Accordingly, there can be no doubt of the accused's guilt, especially when we consider she had a powerful motive. The police arrived rapidly at the scene and promptly arrested the young lady. Well, that extraordinary description of events leaves me somewhat lost for words, I must say. That's certainly true. The prosecution's summary was full of words that raised an awful lot of questions. As a lawyer, I really ought to pick up the prosecution counsel on what he said. Powerful motive, like what? You're clearly exaggerating. Powerful motive is a blatant overstatement. Tut, tut, tut. It's the yokel boy using long words he doesn't fully understand. I beg your pardon? No matter. Let us put this to the accused, shall we? Mibami-san, you are a research assistant at the Imperial Yume University, I believe. Yes, I am. I'm working with Professor Mikotoba in his laboratory at the moment. I can confirm that. The defendant is an excellent assistant with a strong sense of responsibility. Fascinating to hear. Now, another question. Prior to your work with Professor Mikotoba, whose research were you assisting then? Oh, I was studying under Dr. John H. Wilson. I had a feeling. Dr. Wilson? The visiting English professor who was murdered by Miss Brett 9 months ago? The accused had a deep-seated respect for her former mentor, Dr. Wilson. Is that not true? Yes, Dr. Wilson was a wonderful man. Interesting. Then tell the court what deep-seated feelings you had towards the English woman who killed him. Well, obviously I was filled with hatred for what she'd done. A powerful hatred, Ray. Don't admit to that on the court stand. Oh no, Ray, be careful what you're saying. The motive was revenge. Plain and simple, Your Excellency. Well, it was clearly a trap all along. How wicked of him to use Ray's undying respect for her former mentor against her like that. I must find out more details and something we can use to bolster our defense. As a lawyer, I really ought to pick up the prosecution counsel on what he said about being alone together. Membami-san. Yes, what is it, Naruhodo-san? I'm really starting to wish I'd made my alias Ryutaro Suzato. Please tell the court why exactly you were present at the bathing spot with the victim in the first place, and why you were alone with her. Oh, well, no, that's not true. It wasn't like that at all. There was another person. There were other people present. A detective who was guarding Miss Brett, for starters. I was just asked to accompany Miss Brett as a companion, that's all. But let us be clear. At the moment of her death, you were alone together with the victim in the hut. You and no one else. The truth is, there is only one reason why this young woman accompanied Miss Brett on her bathing sojourn. I mean, if it's a detective, it's probably Mr. Coughin' Up Blood guy from the first game. There's no fucking way it's Sholmes. The accused's last chance to take the victim's life. No. Because, as we know, the following day would see Miss Brett extradited to the British authorities in Shanghai. And the accused would have never had an opportunity to dispatch her again. Kindly refrain from conjecture, counsel. The prosecution counsel seems to enjoy using provocative tricks like that. But for now, at least, we need to assemble more facts. Try not to let him go to you. Oh dear, this is really terrifying. But Father's right, we need more information. As a lawyer, I really ought to pick up the prosecution counsel on what he said about the bathing spot, okay? We're just doing everything. If I may, Prosecutor Ouchie. What do you want, you fresh-faced young yokel student? I wonder, could you explain, please? You mentioned a bathing spot. Ha! My apologies. Clearly my modernity has confused the poor country bumpkin's simple mind. Bathing spots are the very latest trend in health practices from the West. Going swimming? We are told that bathing in the water of the ocean is curative, therapeutic, and excellent for the skin's... No, that's not what I meant. I was referring to the fact that Miss Brett had, to all intents and purposes, been found guilty of murder. Why would a known criminal have been relaxing by the sea? Yeah, shut the fuck up. For old time's sake, I believe. Sorry? Miss Brett was to depart for Shanghai the following day. Her final wish, as it were, was to enjoy a day at our country's wonderful coast. And the British Embassy put extreme pressure on our government to comply. But on what grounds would we agree to such a request? Because, as usual, our government is unable to stand up to foreign powers. In matters of diplomacy, it seems we don't even have the courage to decline the whims of a known criminal. Don't look at me, Professor. It was the government who granted permission, not I. You fucking simp. In any case, it was decided with a dedicated detective on duty nothing could go wrong. But in fact, a murder took place. I said don't look at me! It was that young student girl who did it, not I. No one has proved that yet. I wouldn't provoke the man if you don't need to. I believe we all have a clear picture of the incident now. Despite her guilt being determined 9 months ago, Miss Brett managed to avoid incarceration, instead continuing her research work at the university. Obviously, over that period, she and Ray would have encountered each other on a number of occasions. Seeing the murder of the mentor for whom she had such great respect, enjoying such undeserved liberty. Yes, even if this was only temporary until Miss Brett's extradition to Shanghai, you can hardly blame Ray for her feelings of anger and resentment. Poor Ray. So, Your Excellency, if you'd be so kind as to peruse this exhibit. A photographic print that shows the scene of the crime immediately following the grim incident. Now that's an ouchie right there. Yes, thank you, Counsel. A tragic image. As you can clearly see, there is nowhere within the hut that anyone else could have hidden. The court will accept this photographic print as evidence. As I understand it, then the victim and the defendant were alone inside the beach hut at the time. This is deeply troubling, I must say. The finger of guilt points firmly at the defendant. Well, Your Excellency, naturally the prosecution has much more to its case. We intend to prove the accused appalling actions beyond all possible contention. To that end, I can confirm that we have multiple witnesses to the crime and damning evidence. Witnesses? But who? One of whom, I might add, is a highly respected police detective. I assure you, the testimony of these witnesses will leave no room for doubt. Ugh. Very well, Counsel. Bring forth your witnesses. I, Taketsuchi Aoji, have been waiting for this moment. Sorry? Oh, yes, I haven't forgotten that trial 9 months ago here in this very courthouse, when that irreverent little student boy utterly humiliated me. You deserved it, though, you fucking simp. Ryunosuke Naruhodo? What? Yes? This insult to the Aoji family name will never be forgotten. Hi, Kazuma. You've become conceited with age, Counsel, but the old have to stand aside and make way for the new. It's the way of the world. May you never forget that. Oh, I forgot about this bit. Just fucking undo his hair. You know what? Fuck you. Undoes your ponytail. Strike the head of a samurai whose top knot has been cut and the bell of culture and enlightenment tolls. Yes, on that fateful day, my former self died. The start of your own mini Meiji revolution. Are you modernizing as well, Counsel? Silence. Since I swore revenge back then, there has been a minor miracle atop my head. Observe the ouchy growth. You see this seed of hope sprouting forth from the barren expanse of my crown? I think that tiny growth is trying to tell me something. I'm afraid I can't really see. Where is the hope exactly? I said silence! Today I face another yokel student of the Naruhodo clan. Well, I will vanquish you, and my victory will be fertilizer for the seed of hope atop my head. You have been warned. With that, the prosecution calls the witnesses to the stand. Looks like the stakes are high on both sides in this trial. The prosecution and defense each has much to lose. A haircut is hardly comparable to Ray's life. Just wear a hat, dude. Oh, yeah, I knew it. Oh, hi. What are you doing here? I forgot his name, and I'm sure it will tell me here in just a second. Witnesses, please state your names and occupations for the court. Chief Inspector Satoru Hosonaga, Imperial Police Bureau. Why do you have a turtle, sir? Sir, why do you have a turtle? Soseki Natsume, that's what it fucking is. I couldn't remember. Why do you have a turtle, sir? I'm in disguise, obviously, so I can go undetected. And I am, well, the next big thing in books. An author renowned throughout the capital, in fact, yes. Soon to be sold out, the satirical I Am a Cat, a sensational success by Soseki Natsume, and he's got a bibliographer with him. He's kind of cute, he's got some sideburns. Oh my goodness! Struggling student from the provinces, please. You needn't be in awe of me. I needn't? It's only natural that you'd feel nervous in my presence, but of all of you, please relax. Call me Soseki even. He seems chilled out. Significantly so since the last time we saw him. Yes. What on earth is Soseki-san doing here? Tread carefully, Susato. That author fellow knows you from your time in London, doesn't he? If he exposes you for who you really are, this will be over before it's begun. Yes, of course, I know. I will give credit, though. The disguise thing, honestly, I believe it, because I have friends who I've known for years, like 4+ years, not recognize me when I have different hair. Like, you put somebody in a different outfit that you've never seen them wear, like cosplay friends, I have people who I've known for years, and you just can't recognize them because they've got different hair on. So honestly, if he was not expecting Susato to be there, and he only knew Susato for what, like 3 days tops, he's not gonna recognize her, it's fine. Not even face blindness, it's like, you just look so different with your hair up like that. I remember you having longer hair, and suddenly it's short, and I don't know who the F you are. It's happened to me many times, been on both sides of that. You'd be surprised how well the Clark Kent disguise actually works. I presume Soseki-san wouldn't have forgotten about me. I could certainly never forget him. Although he does seem to have changed somewhat in the 6 months or so that it's been since I last saw him. And as for Inspector Hosonaga, that amazing outfit is hard to believe. Do I have something on my face? No, but you got a turtle on your head. Well, your glasses, for one, although they don't seem to be helping you see. Thank goodness he hasn't recognized me either. I suppose it's this disguise, isn't it? I thought that appearing here in the clothes I was wearing at the time would make for a more faithful testimony. It is my guiding principle to carry out all testimonies flawlessly. Well, I can appreciate why an Imperial Police Bureau detective might have been present. But what business did a writer such as yourself have being at the stage, Soseki-san? Well, you see, I had been asked that day to give a lecture at the beach on the morning of the incident in the Imperial Yume University's Grand Lecture Hall, no less. At Yume University? After the lecture, I had a very pleasant conversation with a researcher from the medical science department. The professor over there, in fact. With Professor Mikotoba? Yes, that's right. I was arranged by one of the newspapers. They wanted some story or other about 2 former students who'd studied in Great Britain. Of course, being a renowned author, the press never leave me alone. They secretly spy, snap shots, scribble stories, and scupper my privacy. As you can see, the conversation was written up in this newspaper here. Read it at your leisure, my provincial struggling student friend. I have plenty of copies. Thank you very much. He practically threw that paper at me. I'll check that out later. Anyway, following my interview with the professor, the lady in question appeared and made a very unexpected announcement. I should like to go with everyone to see your country's coast. Those were her words. As I explained before, Miss Brett was never taken into custody. She continued to work in my laboratory under strict surveillance, of course. At which utterance, the university immediately contacted the government to seek guidance. And the response was, permit Miss Brett to go along, as long as a detective accompanies her. That detective I am at liberty to divulge was me, Chief Inspector Satoru Hosonaga.
Yeah, that is utter bullshit. Like, she should be fucking locked up. Why wasn't she? Now look what happened.
Thereby, the entire party departed cordially for the seaside, it seems.
It was extremely challenging to clear all other members of the public from the vicinity of the beach. But fortunately, I am at peak physical fitness at the moment, so I was able to carry out my duty flawlessly. No, has he still not gotten that taken care of? Dude, it's been 9 months! Fix your blood coughing!
Oh my, Inspector, you... Well, you do have something on your face now.
Ah, how unsightly. I do apologize.
Does that mean you went to the beach too, Father?
No. Fortunately, I had to work to finish off. But unfortunately, of course, it meant that as my assistant, Ray was invited to take my place. Of course, being a renowned author, I didn't like to decline the invitation. Yeah, but if only I had, I'd never have seen that awful sight. Relentlessly racked by remorse and regret. Very well. I must now ask you to present your formal testimony to the court. You will give an account of all you had witnessed on your impromptu excursion to the coast. Of course, Your Excellency. Relentlessly racked by remorse and regret I am. Alright, before they start their cross-examination, let's actually look at the shit in the court record. So we've got post-mortem report. Time of death, 11th August, around 2 p.m., ascertained by examination and witness statements. Cause of death, single deep stab wound from behind, piercing the lung and resulting in a fatal hemorrhage. Death would have occurred within minutes. Notes, extreme meiosis, pupil constriction was observed in the victim in both eyes. Huh. That's gonna be important. Like a bright light was shown in her face? Because that's what causes that. Or dilation? Constriction. Because dilation is when your pupils get really big. Constriction is when they get really small. And they get really small if a bright light shines in your face. So, that'll be important probably. There's the print. She's got a fucking wine glass. Some other shit. Goose feathers. Fucking F's in the chat for the goose. Oh, look at these fucking nerds. It's good to see Soseki, like, actually being not a sad boy. Why is there a crack in it, though? That's odd. Why is there a crack in it? That'll be important. On the day of the incident, I was ordered on a special surveillance assignment in this disguise. I'd just managed to catch that crab when I suddenly heard a caterwaul from behind me. I ran into the beach hut at once, where I found the pair in question. Yes, that young girl was astride the Englishwoman, dagger in hand, as she stabbed wildly. Oh, did she, Soseki? I saw blood on the blade. It proved me that she'd been stabbed multiple times. Okay, see, Soseki I could get, because he's just a normal dude, but you're the fucking detective. You should know better than that. I suppose it's the tutorial level, but still. Indeed, it does appear from this testimony that both witnesses here present saw it. I mean, I know this is a tutorial level, but goddamn, y'all. The very moment of this heinous crime. What? Now, if you will recall, I promised evidence as well.
What phrase did I use again?
Ah, yes, that was it. Damning evidence. What have you there, Counsel? Is so-called fountain pen, is it? Correct, Your Excellency. I found it at the scene whilst examining the body. It appears that in her dying moments, with her final ounce of strength, the victim clutched a piece of evidence that would positively identify her killer. What? Your Excellency, if you would cast your eyes over the photographic print of the crime scene once more. Ah, goodness me. Yes, the victim is clearly grasping at something quite deliberately there in her hand. That's right, the fountain pen. And if you would kindly examine the pen, Your Excellency. The owner's initials have been engraved onto the ebonite barrel. R.M. Ray Membami. The initials of the defendant.
No! Oh, Susato, she's taken after Ryu so much, baby girl. She's been hanging out with him too much.
This fountain pen will be admitted immediately as critical evidence. Let's look at it. Oh, I can't look at it. Okay, fine. They didn't bother modeling it. So, have I omitted anything? Decisive testimony and damning evidence. There's a bright blue sky outside the courthouse today. Perfect weather to ascribe guilt, I feel. I don't understand. The prosecutor Ouchie of 9 months ago had none of this man's poise. Counsel for the defense, you may begin your cross-examination now.
Hang on, Your Honor, I'm busy face-planting.
Naruhodo-san.
Naruhodo. That means... Oh, yes, me!
Is there another Naruhodo in my courtroom? Actually, there isn't even a single Naruhodo in your courtroom. I could see how that would have been a pun in Japanese, but... Cousin Ryutaro, pull yourself together, please.
All right, I've seen this countless times as a judicial assistant. Find inconsistencies in the witnesses' testimonies to prove that they're lying somehow. But that's all there is to it. That's how a real lawyer would handle a cross-examination. So let's see what I can do.
Get him! Get him, girl! Ooh, new vibes. Okay, yeah, we're cutting straight. I want to hear about that crab. But we're moving on.
Objection!
With that accusatory cry that just welled up from deep inside me, I think I finally understand. Every time Kazuma-sama and Naruhodo-san have stood here at this bench. The stakes have been very, very high indeed.
What is the meaning of that menacing pose, counsel?
I'd like the witness to clarify something for me, please.
Who? What? Where? When? How?
Not you, Soseki-san. This query is directed at Inspector Hosonaga.
At me?
In your statement just now, you said that the victim was stabbed multiple times.
Yes, that's right. As I said when I entered the hut, the defendant was already standing over the victim, bloody knife in hand like a murderous demon.
And yet, that cannot be.
What? Get to the point, please, counsel.
Oh, the little book! In the post-mortem... Blah, 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 blah. In the post-mortem... God damn. In the post-mortem report, it clearly states that the victim was stabbed one time only.
Ah!
In other words, Inspector Hosanaga's testimony is clearly flawed.
Yeah.
And so Seki-san,
Me?
you claim to have seen Membami-san in the throes of stabbing the victim.
Yes, I did. Wildly.
But both you and the inspector confirmed the same point, that there was already blood on the knife you saw the defendant holding.
Yes, and?
It's quite simple. We know the murder weapon was used to stab the victim only once. Therefore, there is no way they could have been blood on the knife if that single stabbing hadn't already occurred.
True. Then what exactly is your contention, counsel? Are you ever going to tell us?
Yes, Your Excellency. There's only one logical conclusion. What if Soseki-san saw... What Soseki-san saw was not the moment that
Holy fuck, I need a drink. Hold on.
A nice tasty sip of water. What Soseki-san in fact saw was not the moment the defendant stabbed the victim at all, but the moment the defendant in fact withdrew the blade from the victim's body.
That can't be! Yeah, what if the goose stabbed her? Goose guilty. Guilty of crimes.
Excellent work, Susato. You exploded at them without objection and then proceeded to pull them apart systematically. Well, well, this takes me back. Yes, I seem to remember your cousin staged a scene much like this in the trial 9 months ago. A half-witted child with a half-baked objection attempting to steal the show. You're right, there were certain similarities. Except that so-called half-witted child managed to outwit the prosecution, who had only half a head of hair. Slender! My head is quite adequately dressed. In any case, all this talk of stabbing and withdrawing at multiple wounds, it makes not a jot of difference. What? Why not? Engage your brain, young man! When the accused first plunged the deadly weapon into the victim, that was the fatal blow. And it was that moment, just as she'd withdrawn the blade ready for her next strike, that the witnesses saw. The knife was already tainted with blood because the accused had already stabbed the victim. All you have successfully shown with your little display is that the mustached author is prone to moments of extravagance. Yeah. Baby girl, no.
I am in agreement with the prosecution. If the defendant was seen wielding the blade at all, that is sufficient grounds for her action to be viewed with suspicion. She pulled an Edgeworth. She touched the murder weapon, got her fingerprints all over it, had witnesses look at her. It's a running theme in these games. Let that be a lesson to you, chat. Don't touch murder weapons.
But if she was withdrawing the blade, then we are back to where we started. Sorry? Consider this, young yokel boy. If the student girl is as innocent as you claim, then why would she have pulled the blade from the victim? And with a demon's cold-blooded composure, too. The prosecution demands an explanation, and it had better be good. Why did Ray pull out the knife? Ah, yes. Going for the jugular. Well, what does Father mean by that?
Let the court hear your answer then, counsel.
The truth is, I don't really know. But I have to come up with a plausible reason here, or we don't have a case. The reason why the defendant pulled the knife blade out of the victim's body was surely so she could
save her life. But she clearly didn't know that if someone gets stabbed, you're not supposed to pull the blade out because the blade is plugging the wound, so if you pull the knife out, all that blood gets out. Oh, oops. Was not instant. That's correct. It's as though it's thought she would have remained conscious for a short while after sustaining the injury.
Indeed, giving her the time to take hold of this piece of evidence that clearly indicates her killer. The point is, being a medical research assistant, Membami-san was compelled to act when faced with the wounded victim. Instinctively, she pulled the blade out in an attempt to save Miss Brett's life. Did you hear that, Your Excellency? It would seem this is the best we can expect of this young yokel.
Indeed.
Is it just me, or does it suddenly feel much colder in here?
Your Excellency, if I may. Speak, witness. I would like another opportunity to testify. In respect to the slipshod assertion just put forward by the Yokel Defense Counsel, I mean.
Slipshod? An excellent idea, Inspector. Our young yokel hopeful has a modicum of knowledge when it comes to the law, it seems. But in matters of medicine, he appears to possess not one iota of common sense.
Very well, Inspector. I will permit your request. You will testify again before the court on the subject of the defense counsel's assertion. Yes, sir. I will do so flawlessly. Yeah, because every other testimony of yours has been flawless so far. Pulling a blade from a wound without thinking could cause heavy bleeding. That's basic knowledge that any medical research assistant with an ounce of sense ought to know. In other words, there's no good reason why the defendant would have tried to pull the knife from the victim.
Let's not forget that the young student did have a motive for killing the victim. The man the victim murdered 9 months ago, Dr. Wilson, was the defendant's highly respected mentor. Is what you just said true, Inspector? Could pulling a knife from a wound really cause the wound to bleed heavily? Yes. Think of the weapon itself as a stopper in the wound that prevents excessive blood loss. I learned that in the first Ace Attorney games, I think. Until a doctor is ready to provide proper treatment, that stopper shouldn't be removed. Oh, I see. Ha! This is exactly why yokels should stay on the farm. Even a quack from some obscure mountain village would have such basic knowledge. Anyone who's ever given someone a little poke with a knife and pulled it out again knows it. Oh, well, I've never stabbed anyone, you see. Or pulled a blade out of a wound, so... Have you stabbed someone, Ouchie? Of course you haven't. I didn't bring you up to behave like a bandit. Father, is it true what they're telling me? Yes, it's basic remedial knowledge for medics. Ray would have been well aware of it. If she were to claim ignorance of such fundamentals, that would prove fatal in many ways. But then, why would Ray have done it? Could she have pulled out that knife in full knowledge that it would be fatal for Miss Brett? I don't know. Ray never once mentioned anything about the knife to me. It seemed almost impossible to believe, but... Could my friend actually have... Susato! Yes? Pull yourself together. You mustn't lose sight of why we're here. Ah! Counsel, it's time for your cross-examination. Oh, yes, Your Excellency. However, I must warn you that if your cross-examination fails to identify any issue with the established facts, I will be moving to my education immediately afterwards. I understand. Believing in your clients and fighting for their cause until the bitter end. I knew it would be hard, but I had no idea it would be this hard. Okay. Hold it! But the defendant had suddenly encountered somebody she knew lying on the ground bleeding to death. The sight could have shocked her delicate sensibilities, causing her to remove the blade inadvertently. I really don't think inadvertent actions can explain this. Stroke your turtle. The woman is a medical research assistant. I can't imagine she would behave so irrationally. Oh, but irrational behavior is a woman's prerogative, isn't it? Susato, don't feed into that stereotype. Oh dear, you have a lot to learn about women. Jeez. Only a small-minded man could have such bigoted views. Oh dear, perhaps I'm letting my male persona take hold a little too much. Well, have I managed to convey the basics now? That should cover the medical side of the argument. That smiling sprite was pretty cute, actually. Hold it! Whatever the motive, isn't it just Membami-san's nature to do something... It just isn't in Membami-san's nature to do something so awful. But she had both motive and opportunity. That's very hard to argue against. But you don't know the defendant. And you, counsel, do not appear to know the law. Yes, evidence is the only way to convince the court of your argument, not feelings. You can't convince a court with vibes. With this fledgling to defend her, I would almost say I pity the accused. So do I. Inspector, you will reiterate your point about the defendant's motive, please. Ah, yes. Miss Brett was in many ways the sworn enemy of Membami-san. The man the victim murdered 9 months ago, Dr. Wilson, was the defendant's highly respected mentor. Well, yes, that's true. Dr. Wilson recognized Membami-san's talent and offered her the position of assistant despite her being a woman. She was extremely grateful to him. Yes, the Englishman appears to have been a very broad-minded individual. Dr. Wilson had no time for outdated traditions. He met with opposition, of course, but when he believed firmly in Membami-san's abilities. Clearly the defendant was in the man's debt, which only serves to prove my point. This is hopeless. I can't find a single crack in this testimony anywhere. If Ray knew that withdrawing the knife from the wound would threaten Miss Brett's life further, I just can't think of any way to explain why she did it. Susato, it's at times like these when it's especially important to remember the fundamentals. The fundamentals? Evidence is what counts in the courtroom, isn't it? Of course, but I've been through the court record dozens of times already. I think perhaps you're forgetting something, though. You needn't take the evidence at face value. You can and must examine it in greater detail, too. Ah! I realize this is your first time playing the role of lawyer in the courtroom, so if you need reminding of the rudiments, you need only ask. I'll do my very best to help. Examine the evidence in the court record? It's an idea, certainly. What should I do? I know what to do. I played the first game. Come to think of it, Kazuma-sama and Naruhodo-san were always turning the evidence over and over in their hands. Yes, I need to examine things in greater detail with A. Ah, by the look in your eyes, I see it's coming back to you. Oh, was the examining thing locked until this point, and that's why I couldn't look at the pen? Go through the court record again and have a thorough look at everything. You may just find a clue. Yes, I'll do it straight away. There we go, now I can look at shit. If we take off the pen's lid... Now let's unscrew the barrel, shall we? Huh. It's empty. This must be the little reservoir that holds the ink. Yes, you fill it by drawing ink from a bottle up through the nib. Is something wrong, Father? And just that there doesn't actually appear to be any ink in there, that's all. Oh, yes, you're right. It's pretty much empty. Well, it could be on the verge of running out, I suppose. Yeah, the art is cool. The RM initials are very clearly engraved here. And the fact that Miss Brett was clinging to this pen in her dying moments is very clearly a message, too. To identify her killer, you mean? I don't think there can be any doubt that this is a key piece of evidence in this case. Why is it empty? There's some sort of emblem here, look. But isn't it? It isn't a Yume University one. It must belong to some other organization, I suppose. Business of some kind. But that would seem to imply the pen doesn't in fact belong to Ray. Interesting. Rakus English returnees tell all. Is this the interview with you and Soseki-san, isn't it, Father? It looks as though it was quite an exchange. Yes, he became a little over-animated when he was talking about his time in England. The photographer managed to capture the moment his hand karate-chopped me in the neck. I do hope you weren't hurt. What's on the back? This is the newspaper from Soseki-san. There seems to be an important article on the back page as well. Exclusive. Deadly poison stolen from Yume University, Yume Medical Research Laboratory. Yume's medical research. Father, isn't that your lab? What the? Let me see that. The poison's been stolen? It's this morning's paper that Soseki-san gave us. Are you saying you didn't know? As embarrassing as it is for the head of the laboratory, I didn't. I've not heard of any such thing. Where on earth could this reporter glean this information? Come to think of it, there was no article mentioning the story in our paper this morning, was there? It's a highly toxic poison we've been working on. It was in the pen! It was in the pen! They put the toxin in the pen and she was gonna poison somebody with it! We've been working on it in the strictest confidence. I'd put Ray in charge of the project. Ray? She was managing it? If what's written here is true, it means that she tried to hide the theft from me. And moreover, the details were leaked somehow. I don't believe it. We need to read this article very carefully. Article about the poison stolen from a laboratory at Yume University. My father, who is responsible for the lab, knew nothing of the incident. Okay. Did Ray know, though? Dun, 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 dun. Okay, I think that's all we're gonna get out of what we have for now. I'm gonna press him on the things I haven't pressed yet, see what we can get. You say doing it without thinking could be a problem. Does that mean that if you use due care and attention, it would be alright? I wouldn't have thought this needed spelling out, really, but the blade is like a stopper in the wound. Remove it and a serious hemorrhage will occur. In other words, a medic would need to be present before any attempt was made to withdraw the blade. But she is a medical assistant. Doing it without thinking would be madness. You just can't do it. Oh, well, thank you for such a thorough explanation. You see, Counsel? When you act without thinking, the result is a bloodbath. Ugh. Back to the witness testimony, please.
Hold it!
In that case, there's an obvious explanation here. Which is... clearly, the defendant, Raymond Bami-san, does not possess an... I don't know. Does not possess an ounce of sense. What do you think about that, Professor Mikotoba? I'm not sure you should be labeling your best friend as lacking in common sense. Well, I thought it would be better than labeling her as a murderer. I don't know young people today. If that's friendship, I don't understand it. Careful, Counsel. A lack of common sense can be a very dangerous thing. Oh dear, that recoiled on me rather badly. That's life, I'm afraid. A lesson everyone must learn. Hopefully you can see now that this is really basic medical knowledge. Being involved in medical research, Membami-san would certainly have been aware of it. Okay, so then that means there's something I do have to object to here. No good reason why the defendant would have tried to pull the knife from the victim. Did have a motive for killing the victim. Wilson was the defendant's highly respected mentor. So clearly we have to object to something here because we've already pressed everything. I'm gonna go ahead and save. Examine the article again. Yeah, let's... I mean, I already did, but let's see. Oh, hey, look, there's more. Deadly poison stolen from Yume Medical Research Laboratory. Following a lecture at Yume by Soseki Natsume on the 11th August, it's come to light that a very disturbing incident took place. Deadly poison being secretly developed in the university's forensic science laboratory was stolen. Even the smallest amount... deadly in tiny quantities. Even the smallest amount entering the body, either via the mouth or by a wound from a poison-laced blade, would prove fatal in minutes. Ooh! She thought the blade had poison on it? Current methods cannot detect the newly developed chemical. The university would have to be consulted. Onset of this... why is the poison being developed? Onset of symptoms occurs in minutes, starting with impaled breathing, and ending with acute contraction of the pupil. Yeah, that's the thing. Prior to death. Such symptoms would be suggestive of this toxin. It's apparently an entirely new synthesis of alkaloids and rumored to have been commissioned by the military. But would prove fatal in minutes. Well, then that's why she pulled it out. There we go, there we go, there we go.
Objection!
No, there is one possibility. One very good reason why the defendant might have decided to withdraw the blade from the victim's wound. What? Ha! The yokel not only has a poor grasp of the law, but also is a poor loser. Tell us then, what possibility do you think you've identified? It's here, in this newspaper article. It's an article about a deadly poison having been stolen from a laboratory at the Imperial Yume unit.
Objection!
The victim perished from a stab wound. Poison has no relevance in this case. But... Prosecutor Ouchie, you will let the defense speak. But a newspaper article? The court cannot rely on the kind of hearsay in those wretched publications carry. Counsel for the defense. I am going to need some tangible basis for your claim. You will indicate to the court precisely what part of the newspaper article mentions affirms your assertion. Your Excellency! Yes, of course. Thank you. Ray would never have done something to further endanger Miss Brett's life without just cause. The reason why the defendant pulled the knife from the victim's body is explained in the article where it says... deadly in tiny quantities. The article reveals the following property about the poison in question. When the toxin enters the body on a knife laced with the poison, it's rapidly absorbed and causes death in minutes. Are you suggesting... If the knife used to attack Miss Brett was laced with this very poison, it would explain why the defendant, Membami-san, would have withdrawn the blade as soon as possible. Yes, the truth is... it was an attempt to stop the poison from entering the victim's body. What? This fucking shorts.
Objection!
This is complete and utter nonsense! Not at all. The defendant withdrew the knife's blade from the victim's body not to accelerate the woman's demise, but to save her life, and the prosecution cannot deny the possibility. Have you not read the post-mortem report? The cause of death was hemorrhage. The word poison appears nowhere in the document. Well, that's because by acting quickly to remove the blade, the defendant prevented the poison from taking hold.
Objection!
Oh, please, this is clearly desperation. The weasel's last breaking of wind. Poison has nothing whatsoever to do with this case, as I believe the defense is well aware. We have no proof that the information in this wretched newspaper article is at all reliable anyway. In that situation, what the student should have done is wait for medical assistance to arrive. But instead, you claim she suspected poisoning and took the potentially lethal decision to remove the blade. She must have had a strong reason for her suspicions then, or the argument makes no sense. Exactly! Well put, Inspector. On what grounds did she do it, Yoko? Why did Ray suspect the stolen poison was involved? If you want grounds, I'll give you grounds. What? You can't possibly... From your expression, Counsel, it would appear those are not empty words. But naturally, as you stand in this courtroom as a lawyer, you must be aware that words alone, empty or not, are of no value in our modern justice system. The court demands evidence. Yes, Your Excellency, I'm well aware of that. I've seen it many times, from my place at his side in the Old Bailey. In that case, Counsel, you will present the proof to the court now. What evidence demonstrates a clear link to this case and the poison in the newspaper article? I guess also the newspaper article? Poison was stolen. I'm gonna save real quick just in case. Wait, between this case and the poison in the newspaper article. Is it jumping to conclusions to say it's the pen? Because the pen could have had the poison inside it, but I feel like that might be jumping the gun a little bit. Between the link and but that's the only thing that would have the case involved in the case. I can't just present the article again because they're asking for a link between this case in particular and the newspaper article. So yeah, I mean, I think it has to be the pen.
Take that!
How exactly would you explain this piece of evidence's connection to the newspaper article? In truth, I'm not really sure. But my father always taught me to ask my elders whenever I was in trouble. So I thought I would ask your opinion, Your Excellency. Yeah, that was jumping the gun, I had a feeling. I think he means you. Now, where have we seen similar details? Does nowhere come to mind? Ah, Yume and I had to search through all the evidence looking for that. If I'm not mistaken, it appears the advice of your elders has given you an idea. Yes, I'd like another chance to present evidence, if I may, Your Excellency. Okay. Demonstrates a clear link between this case and the poison in the newspaper article. Oh, right, because the pupil constriction, and they talked about it in the newspaper article. That'll do it. That'll do it. I would ask the court to refer to the notes section of the post-mortem report, which reads, extreme meiosis, pupil constriction, was observed in the victim. Ah. Clearly, being a yokel with no knowledge of forensic science, I have no idea, so please do tell me. Presumably, the fact that this condition of the victim was noted in the post-mortem report means that it's an unusual symptom of death? Well, under normal circumstances, the pupils dilate when someone dies. If there was an extreme constriction instead, that's most certainly unusual, yes. What are you doing, you yokel detective? In the newspaper article, there's the following information about the stolen poison. Onset of symptoms occurs within minutes, ending with acute contraction of the pupils prior to death. What? If the defendant, upon seeing the victim stabbed in the back, happened to notice that the pupils of Miss Brett's eyes had constricted severely. Yes, as a medical research assistant, she would have suspected poison immediately, without doubt. Prosecutor Ouchie, I think you'll agree, this is very compelling evidence. You yokel student and yokel professor? Professor? Wrong game. I believe the defense has expertly demonstrated the credible reason for the defense's action. No. Yujin Mikotoba. Yes, Your Excellency? I believe you are best placed here to confirm or deny the veracity of the defense counsel argument. You will tell the court the truth about the details reported in this newspaper, please. It pains me to have to admit it, but I'm afraid I don't know. You don't know? The toxin was kept under lock and key in my laboratory, certainly, but I was unaware of any theft. Do you mean to tell the court that the reports of this theft are unfounded? No, Your Excellency. Without returning to the laboratory to investigate myself, I couldn't say. Ha! Listen to the bumbling academic. Unaware of the theft of the secret state research from his own workplace until he reads of it in the newspaper. I take full responsibility for the incompetence of my supervision. Father. Tch! A pitiful situation for a university professor. You should have more control over your students, rather than allowing them off on killing sprees. That's totally unfounded. Hi, baby. What are you about to say? None of this is Professor Mikotoba's fault. It's all my fault. Ray. Mimbami-san, you stand accused here. Outbursts like this will not be tolerated. But it was me. I was the one who noticed that the poison we were developing had been stolen that day. What? So you knew? I'd been placed in charge of overseeing the project. It was the day that the professor and Soseki-san were interviewed together for the newspaper. That's when I noticed that some of the poison was missing. Just a tiny amount it was. Why didn't you let me know immediately? I was scared. The whole project was supposed to be confidential, but some of the toxin had somehow been taken. So I decided I'd try to get it back before anyone else found out. Because I had a very good idea who the thief was. The thief? You don't mean... Yes, of course. It was that dainty Englishwoman. Miss Giselle Brett? That's why I decided to join the little group of people going to the seaside. Inside the beach hut, I confronted Miss Brett. But she just sat on a stool at the back of the hut, smiling sweet. At the back of the hut? So someone could have stabbed her through the hut? Ooh! But she just sat on a stool at the back of the hut, smiling sweetly at me as if she knew she was untouchable. I know it was you who stole the poison. Well now, whatever do you mean? And then, she suddenly got to her feet, before falling to her knees in front of me and then collapsing on the floor. That's when I saw the knife in her back. I couldn't understand what had just happened. And then, a moment later, I was seized with fear. The pupils of her eyes they'd shrunk to tiny pinpoints.
I don't believe it. In other words, you realized the victim was suffering the effects of the stolen poison.
My mind started racing. I hadn't seen anything past Miss Brett's lip whilst I had been with her, which left only one possible way for the poison to have entered her body. On the blade of the knife in her back.
And that train of thought was what spurred you to withdraw the blade.
Yes, if the amount that had entered her bloodstream was small enough, she might still have a chance. That's what I hoped. Really, I'm sorry for staying silent this whole time.
Your attempt to hide the truth of what has happened is not something that can be overlooked. However, I have duly noticed the courage with which you confessed in the end.
Thank you, Your Excellency. It's barely perceptible, but I do think the balance has shifted a little here in this courtroom now.
Objection!
Shut the fuck up.
Your Excellency, do not be deceived. The victim just collapsed before your eyes, you say? Well, Bembami-san, if that is the case, perhaps you would explain how Miss Blib came to be stabbed. Well, you have no answer because the simple truth is that you stabbed the victim motivated by revenge. But you have no conclusive evidence to prove that assertion, do you? Oh, I have evidence, and it is very much conclusive. What's the prosecution up to? It was brief, but he hesitated for a moment there. I'm almost sure of it.
You'll produce the aforementioned evidence at once, Prosecutor Ouchie.
Perhaps some praise is due, young yokel student. What? I had imagined there would be no need for me to submit this evidence. But you've brought this on yourself.
Ooh.
What the?
The crack in the thing is the same as the crack in the newspaper article entry.
Could a more damning shot exist? The cruelty in the air on that beach is almost palpable.
Also, where was this taken from? It very much proves they could have gone straight through the freaking tent.
This evidence, more than any other, reveals the true extent of the accused's murderous nature.
The freaking paparazzi that's been following Saseki around. He is the murderer. Oh shit.
For it shows the precise moment that Membami-san plunged her dagger into the victim's back. No, that's not true. No. I don't believe it. Yeah.
Order, order, order! Counsel for the defense, was it you who was responsible for that shrill scream that just pierced my courtroom?
Perhaps his voice has yet to break? These yokels are slow of mind and slow to mature. I'll show you who's slow to mature.
Careful now, Suzato is starting to show her face here. It is often said that the picture is worth 1,000 words, and here we have ample proof. The court will accept this extremely cogent photographic print as evidence.
I can't believe he's had a photograph like that up his sleeve the entire time. Such a stark image, I'm genuinely lost for words. Wait a minute! I don't understand. How did you... I mean, who took that photograph? Ray.
Objection!
That's of no importance here. Stop trying to divert attention. Oh.
Objection!
that's an absurd thing to say. It's critically important. Crucially, whoever took this photographic print was a witness to Miss Brett's death. The court must be allowed to hear this person's testimony. Yeah. I will uphold the defense's demand. The prosecution will reveal the identity of the person responsible for taking this photograph at once. Yeah, I was about to say, it's like, how about you present all the evidence at the start of the case, dude? Well, I am afraid I can't do that.
Pardon?
You see, this print arrived at the Imperial Police Bureau headquarters by express post yesterday. But there was nothing to indicate the sender's name or address. The provenance of the print is unknown.
Goodness.
Are we to understand then, Counsel, that in full knowledge of the fact this photograph has the murkiest of origins, you nevertheless believe it fit for submission as evidence in the Supreme Court? When you first produced that print before, I noticed that you hesitated for a brief moment, because you knew that it wasn't completely reliable evidence, didn't you? Silence, you yokel student and blabbering professor! What matters is the blatant truth that this print so eloquently expresses. But the defendant has already admitted to pulling the blade from the wound. Clearly this isn't the moment that the knife was plunged into the victim's back, but the moment it was withdrawn? Don't waste this court's time with your ramblings.
Indeed, without knowledge of who produced this print, we have no means of verifying the claim. And the scene it captures is without doubt the most compelling evidence presented to the court. If the defense is unable to shed any further light on the matter, I believe the conclusion is clear.
Oh no.
Susato, this is the time for you to fight. What you've established so far is true, then there can be no doubt. This photograph shows the moment Ray withdrew the blade from the victim.
Yes, we just need to prove that somehow.
You'll have plenty of time to rue your defeat on the slow train back to the provinces. And to rue the day you came up against Taketsuchi Aochi in a court of law.
If I can't determine who took this photograph, then the trial is going to come to an end. Look at this photograph! Every time I do it makes me... There must be a clue somewhere. There must be some way of working out who took it.
Well, Counsel.
Your Excellency, the burning question is who took that photograph, and the truth is,
I have the answer.
This isn't about whether I can or can't come up with the answer now. I simply have to. The identity of the person who took this dramatic photographic print is, I assure you, something the defense can and will reveal. What? No, you can't possibly. But as you so boldly claim that you can, please do enlighten us. Unfortunately, I'm unable to present a name. How utterly underwhelming. Did you really believe you could... However, I am able to present evidence. The defense has a piece of evidence that reveals important details about the photographer's identity. What?
Very well then, Counsel. Present your proof to the court. Which piece of evidence do you claim reveals something about the identity of the mystery photographer? The other article with the exact same freaking, cut on the, or crack on the lens. What is that? The newspaper again. Rackus England returnees tell all.
It's not the headline that's relevant here, Your Excellency. It's the photograph. Look at this photograph. Every time I do, it makes me have some emotion. If you look at it closely, you'll notice that there are some white lines on the right-hand side.
Ah, yes, indeed. They had already caught my eye as it happens.
Ha! What of it? A shadow of some kind, presumably, from the branches of a tree or the like.
And there are no trees growing inside my laboratory at the university, I can assure you.
Now, if you look closely at this photograph...
Good gracious!
Yes, exactly the same pattern of lines is present on this photograph, too. Well, that tells us nothing! Yes, it's a shadow of some kind, definitely! From the branches of a tree! There wouldn't be any trees growing inside a hut at the beach, Counsel. What's quite remarkable about it is that the two patterns are absolutely identical. How could such an extraordinary similarity have transpired? The curious matching pattern that appears on both photographic prints is a result of... camera defect. Obviously, it must be due to a problem with the camera used to take the photographs. With the photographic device? Yes, we can confidently say that the camera's lens must be scratched. And the scratched lens causes unwanted lines to appear on every print taken with the device. In short, the two photographs under consideration here were taken with the same camera. Yes. But there must be hundreds of such camera devices here in the capital. It would be utterly impossible to identify the owner of this particular one. I think you're forgetting, Prosecutor Ouchie, that one of the photographs features in a newspaper article. A newspaper? Yeah. That's right. The author of that article is the mystery witness in this crime. Wah! 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 I should have done that. But I didn't even get a chance to read that. I see why you were called the Rackus England returnee. What are you yelling about? You've already testified. It's many memo, I tell you. Many memo. No. Photographer's name? Soseki-san? What was that? JoJo poses! Did you say many memo? Ever since I returned to Japan, a reporter from the Shoyu News has been hounding me, following my every move. A reporter by the name of Raiten There, fuck it is! There's the RM, baby! Reporter by the name of Raiten Memo. Yes, hounding me from dawn till dusk. Ah, now that he mentions it. They secretly spy, snapshot, scribble stories, and scupper my privacy. Could that same reporter be... A camera to the left of him, a notebook to the right. Here I am, stuck in the middle with you. There I am. Yay! The game caught the reference, and I did it too. Yeah, baby. Yay! I'm so glad. I'm so glad that was on purpose. So you're saying this picture was taken by Manny Memo, yes, my lord, your excellency, Esquire. Officer, find this newspaper reporter at once and bring him to my courtroom. We will adjourn for a short recess in the meantime. Oh, yes, your excellency. As you say, your excellency. And one more thing. I want this knife, the murder weapon, examined for traces of poison. We'll solicit the assistance of the Imperial University's medical department for the task. Understood? Meh. Many memo! Dun dun dun! Halfway point, baby! I take a drink. Let's fucking go. I would love to finish this whole case in one sitting. Who knows if we will actually manage it. I'm so sorry, Susato. I should have told you about the toxin. Ray. You have a strong sense of responsibility, I know. That's why you decided to shoulder the burden alone. No, that's not it at all. I was scared of my future failure coming to light, that's all. So I hoped to retrieve the substance from the Englishwoman before anyone found out. Before the trial started, do you remember what you said, Susato? You said that you had no doubt in your mind about my innocence, that you'd stand by me to the last. I remember. And yet I didn't deserve your trust in me. I hid important details from you, Susato. I completely betrayed your faith in me. Hit me, Susato! I deserve it! No, in fact, throw me to the floor! No, that's too good for me as well! Drag me through the city streets! I'm no better, you know. Oh! Even though in my heart I knew you'd pulled the knife blade from Miss Brett's back, there was just a brief moment when, in my mind, I doubted you, and there's her theme. Susato! I'm sorry. After I stood here and promised you that I'd stand by you and always be on your side, I betrayed your faith in me too. And as such, I've failed you as a lawyer. Oh, no! I think this situation has taught both of you a valuable lesson. Placing your unbridled faith in another is no easy task. Yes, Father. That fact has certainly struck home. Which is why I can see more clearly now. The rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. So, Ray. Yes? Can you find it in your heart to forgive me? Baby. Oh, Susato. You know you'll always be a gallant, dashing lawyer in my eyes now. Oh, Ray. I was so scared, you know, when it happened. I didn't know what was going on. The Englishwoman was sitting at the back of the hut listening to what I was saying. I know it was you who stole the poison. Well now, whatever do you mean? And then, a moment later, she suddenly got to her feet. Before collapsing on the floor in front of me, with a knife in her back. It all happened right before my eyes. And you were the only people in the hut at the time? That's right. Just Miss Brett and myself. There was no one else. So I just don't understand how she could have possibly have been stabbed like that.
A great mystery indeed.
I still can't believe it happened. That's why I just couldn't bring myself to speak up. It will be all right. However it happened, and whatever really went on by the sea that day, I promise you that I'm going to prove everything you said you saw as true.
Spoken like a true Mikotoba. Now, I think we should discuss what's coming up in the trial, don't you? We don't have much time. We must make sure we have our facts in order.
Yes, I expect the poison is going to come under close scrutiny in the upcoming proceedings. The police should have hopefully identified it on the blade by now. The trouble is, it's a completely new laboratory-synthesized blend of alkaloids. The police won't have any way of testing for it. Oh, I see.
Yes, without this chemical reagent, it's impossible to detect the toxin.
Chemical reagent?
I sent a colleague of mine off with some earlier to deliver to police headquarters. I think perhaps you should have some as well, though, just in case. Okay. What's the matter, Susato? You're suddenly very quiet.
It's this newspaper article. Exclusive, deadly poison stolen from Yume University Research Laboratory. I'm wondering how the information got out, given that it was a government secret. It was all the Englishwoman's doing! What? It was when the professor and Soseki-san were being interviewed at the laboratory. That so-called English lady swanned in, and without any compunction said to Professor Mikotoba, "Oh, Professor, surely your guest would love to hear about your work on that substance there."
It put me in a very awkward position, to be frank. But Soseki-san's curiosity had been piqued, so I had little choice but to give him a cursory introduction.
So then, Soseki-san knew about the poison?
Yes, and it's highly likely that the reporter who was writing up the story about us would have caught a glimpse of the toxin too.
This Many Memo-san. By the way, did that reporter join you all when you went to the beach? Oh, no, I don't remember the reporter being there.
Indeed, he shouldn't have been. I very much doubt anyone would have wanted him there.
Oh?
A known criminal had been given permission by the authorities to bathe by the seaside. Soseki-san pointed out that inviting a reporter might be problematic, so the man was sent back to his office. Yet he obviously didn't go back. He secretly followed the party to the beach and took this very candid photograph. And then presumably he posted it anonymously to the police. Ah! Yes, that must be what happened. Counsel! We've just heard the new witness is now ready to testify. The trial is about to resume. Please proceed into the courtroom at once. It's time to steel ourselves once again, then. Defense Attorney Ryutaro Naruhodo. Yes! Ray has put her faith in me now and told me everything. So I can't let her down. I have to prove that what she's telling the court is true. I have to prove what really happened that day. Let's fucking go! I hereby call this court to order as we reconvene to continue the trial of Ray Membami. Prosecutor Aoji, have you summoned the new witness? Before I address that question, Your Excellency, I have some very important news to share. Oh? What news? And why does he look so happy about it? During the recess with the collaboration with Professor Mikotoba's laboratory at Yume University, the police re-examined the knife that was used to end Miss Giselle Brett's life. Excellent. I admire your rapid handling of the matter, and there's not going to be any poison on it because we need another road bump in the case. Oh, too kind, Your Excellency, too kind! I was merely carrying out your instructions, of course. I had the reagent delivered to police headquarters by rickshaw, so it would be there in good time. But judging by the man's swagger, I fear we might need to brace ourselves for the inevitable. And, counsel, what were the results? This dagger, which was so cruelly used to end the life of the victim, has no trace of poison anywhere along its blade. What? Are you sure about that? I would stake the reputation of the police on it. Armed with the reagent, the test is extremely simple. It couldn't have made the mistake. In short, the accused's feeble excuse earlier has been utterly destroyed. Yeah, the pen almost definitely had the poison in it. But this game does not let you, like, combine evidence, so we're gonna have to wait until that comes up, naturally. Now, the prosecution is ready to call the new witness. Ah, the newspaper reporter who managed to capture a photograph of the crucial moment. Good. Very well, officer. Bring in the witnesses. No trace of poison on the knife. But if that's really the case, how could the toxin have entered the victim's body? Witness, please state your name and occupation for the court. Oh boy, this guy needs a fucking name. Right hand mini memo of the Show You News. I'm what people like to call a journo. What's a journo, Father? Do you know? It's simply a contraction of journalist. I'm here when the news breaks, putting pen to paper to catch all those scoops so they're in print by the next morning. They don't call me the hero of the Herald for nothing. The nice guy of the news. Oh, so, it was you who took this photograph, was it? Well, well, what have we here? I'm sorry? Oh, brace yourselves, people! Many memo senses a scoop in the offing. Female student up to foul play, defended by curiously handsome young lawyer in Supreme Court. The readers will lap this up. We'll set above the fold at 72 in a 5-leg format for the morning edition. Uh-huh. Right then, let's start with your name. Oh, it's Ryutaro Naruhodo. Next, what made you want to become a lawyer? I wanted to do a Boston accent, but I'm not very good at Boston accent, so it has congealed into British again.
I wanted to reform our country's legal system, I suppose.
Ryutaro has suddenly become very ambitious, I see.
I just borrowed Kazuma-sama's dream for a while. Now, by the way, my name is Taketsuchi Aochi. That's Taketsuchi Aochi. The so-called dark horse of the Supreme Court, my objections strike fear into every defense lawyer's heart.
No, the readers won't buy that.
What?
Yeah, fucking get him. Witness.
Yes.
What this court demands to know is whether or not you were responsible for the taking of this picture. It was delivered anonymously to the Imperial Police Bureau only yesterday.
Yeah, I wouldn't be a journo if that didn't click quick when presented with a scoop like that, now would I? Sometimes stories call out to me, sometimes I have to chase them down, but either way, you've got to be fast. Fast legs to run with, and a fast hand to write with. It's no good if you don't note it down, I always say. That's what I call my many-memoism.
Many-memoism? Ah, yes, I remember your face. We met that day when you were interviewing myself and Soseki-san.
Yes, right. That was me, Many-Memo again.
But you were supposed to be back in the Shoyu News offices after our meeting.
But the scoop is, I didn't. Because that Englishwoman's word had piqued my journalistic interest.
Miss Brett's words?
A criminal, left to do as she pleases, just because she happens to be a British citizen? It's horse dung. This country's judiciary is rotten to the core. This Supreme Court's ruling aren't worth the paper they're written on. The police are just imperial pawns. Stay your tongue, young man. There are complex political issues at play. Hip. Well, anyway, I quickly jotted down those words she said in my memo pad. Are you ready? I'll read it out. It's all here. Right, here goes. I should like to go with everyone to see your country's coast. A serious criminal going on some junket. The people need to know about this. That's why I decided to sneak after them. To get the woman's story, so I could hammer her in the press.
Do you mean to say that you did indeed witness it firsthand? The grim scene portrayed in this photograph?
Oh yes, I saw it with my very own journo eyes. From start to finish, through the viewfinder of my trusty camera.
Thank you, Memo-san. You will now give a formal testimony before the court. You will state exactly what it is that you witnessed of the events surrounding Miss Brett's death.
Each hut was made of shoddy old reed screens, so there were plenty of gaps I could see inside through. The Englishwoman was sitting on a stool when the student girl came in and started arguing with her. Seconds later, the girls pulled out a knife, throwing the Englishwoman to the floor as she stabbed her in the back.
He went a little Australian there.
My smoldering journo spirit burst into flames. Quick as a flash, I whipped out my camera, ready to click. I pulled apart the rough weave of one of the screens and poked the lens through for the perfect shot.
Reed screens, you say?
Right! You can see them clearly enough in that great shot I snapped. The hut walls were just screens made of coarsely woven reeds.
Yeah, definitely big enough to stab somebody through. Yes, it allows the breeze to pass through and bring some relief from the summer heat.
And it was a breeze for me to poke my camera through and see the whole thing hotting up.
Ignoring for the time being the appalling invasion of privacy involved, did you witness everything that happened from the moment the defendant entered the hut?
Oh yes, I saw it. I saw the whole thing from start to finish.
And you say that you took the photograph through a gap in one of the screens?
Luckily for me, they were pretty shoddily woven. I pulled the reeds apart and thrust the lens of my camera through the gap. Would I get away with it? Or would I be seen? It was a gamble of the lifetime. A tenacity of purpose is considered admirable in a journalist, I suppose. Run a risk one day, run a scoop the next. That's a many-memoism in a nutshell.
At last, it would appear we have a genuine witness to this wicked crime. The evidence and the testimony are extremely compelling. I believe we may be close to a verdict.
No. Wonderful news, Your Excellency. Wonderful! Nevertheless, it cannot be denied that this testimony begs one very large question. What question? Exclusive news, a startling photograph, all the makings of an exceptional story for the reporter. Why, then, was the story never published? Oh, that's right. It seems clear to me that there are circumstances at play here that are yet to be understood. Ha! More pathetic excuses. Very well then, counsel. Proceed with your cross-examination. Yes, Your Excellency. There's more to this reporter than meets the eye. He's keeping something about this case very close to his chest. Okay. Where was this stool? Is it in the photograph? Yeah. Oh yeah, and there's a little slit right there. The label appears to be written in a foreign language that I don't know. It's German, so your knowledge of English is going to be of little help here, I'm afraid. Couldn't you have just written medicine on it in Japanese? Then we'd all be able to read it. German is the international language of medicine, my dear. But yes, I can certainly see the merit in labeling the bottle in Japanese. Though I'm not sure medicine would be entirely appropriate. Whee! You spin me right round, baby, right round. Okay, so that's the only thing we can examine. That's gonna become important later. Anything on the hills and throw on the blood or some fucking blood. Ah yes, this must be the victim's blood. Oh dear, blood is never a pretty sight, is it? I'm having to fight the urge to run it under a hot tap and get it clean. You've always been fastidious about cleanliness, haven't you? I think this is something else, Father. Okay. Okay, not a lot there either.
Hold it!
So you actually saw Membami-san entering the hut? Yep, and she was raging like my journo spirit. And the argument you mentioned, what was that about exactly? You stole it, I didn't steal it, that kind of thing. Talking about the poison, I suppose. The student girl walked right up to the Englishwoman and really started laying into her. I mean, if she'd laid into her any more, there would have been eggs. Well, I mean, she did have a swan on her head that we have seen in the past lay eggs. The man should have been an author. His descriptive talents are wasted on journalism. But the student's ratings fell on deaf ears, like a Japanese person listening to English for the first time. He really ought to work on his similes first, though, to be honest. Anyway, the point is, that woman in the dock was mightily angry. And her temper finally got the better of her, it seems. Dear me. Which was the climactic moment that I caught on film. Seconds later, the girl pulled out a knife, throwing the Englishwoman to the floor as she stabbed her in the back.
Hold it!
Do you swear before this court that you actually saw the precise moment when the stabbing took place? Ha! The precise moment? I didn't see just that. I saw the whole hellish scene play out from start to finish. Then why didn't you take pictures of it? I have here a simple plan of the beach hut. Perhaps you could use it to explain to the court exactly what you witnessed. Right you are. It's all here in my memo pad. When I first peered into the hut, I'm sure that the Englishwoman was on this stool at the back of the hut here. Yes, the accused's own testimony confirmed that. She just sat at the back of the hut, smiling sweetly, is what I have noted down. It's my turn to testify now. Try not to interrupt. Ugh. Then, the next moment, as I was watching, the evil student girl entered the hut. After a while, the pair of them ended up in the middle of the hut, arguing furiously. The Englishwoman went for the student, but the girl dodged out of the way. And in a flash, plunged the knife into her adversary's back as the two passed each other. How would he have seen that if she was just, like,
blocking it with her body, presumably. Humph, what you describe is a grim scene indeed. Never sugarcoat the truth. That's what many memoism says.
By the way, Many Memo-san, whilst you were watching that terrible scene unfold before your eyes through the gap in the screen, did it not occur to you to try to prevent the tragedy rather than capture it on film?
Journos have to be observers. We can't get involved. That's all raison d'etre. I don't know if I said that right. I don't French.
So you didn't converse with Miss Brett at all?
Obviously not. An observer always remains on the outside looking in.
And that's something to be proud of, is it?
Your Excellency, if I may.
Yes, Professor.
I think the witness's last expertly phrased statement should perhaps be added to his formal testimony.
Father, what are you...
I will grant the defense's request. Many Memo-san, you will supplement your formal testimony with the aforementioned statement. Well, nihilism is the foundation of many Memoism, but I'll gladly prove my words are meaningless. I never once set foot in the hut, nor spoke with the Englishwoman. I was there only as an observer.
Hold it!
Really? You didn't set foot inside the hut at all? Are you quite sure about that?
I think you may have the wrong impression of me. We're talking about a murder scene here. My nerves were stretched to breaking point already.
Oh, I see. You were scared. Maybe I did have the wrong impression of you, yes.
It was all I could do to stifle a scream and hold my hand steady enough to snap the shot. You really should have summoned help before thinking of your camera. Many Memoism and humanism don't always agree. And most of the time in those instances, Many Memoism comes out on top. As a sculptor of stories, sometimes I have to be cruel for my art. Yes, that's spot on.
Surely he's making all of this up.
He claims to have spied on the whole affair from start to finish. If true, his testimony is devastating.
But it does seem as though he's holding something back, doesn't it?
If that's how you feel, I suggest you trust your instincts and press him on everything he said. As you've no doubt seen done many times before in your role as judicial assistant.
Yes, I have.
I've seen witnesses like this pressed often. I know exactly what to do. Do we have any evidence to refute that? I mean, he knew about the poison somehow. Or spoke with the Englishwoman, but that would be... spoke with her at the scene. You know, I wonder. I was thinking that maybe if I examined the pen again, it would let me use the reagent on it, but I guess we haven't gotten that far yet. I'm gonna go ahead and press him on the rest, because maybe they'll give me some.
Hold it!
What made you want to see what was happening inside the beach hut in the first place?
Call it journo instinct. Can you think of a better reason?
Oh, I don't know. Perhaps as well as being a proven criminal, the person inside was a young woman. Ah, I see where you're going with this. Brace yourselves, people, he's painting the journo as a voyeur. It's hardly slander, sir. You had a camera and you were taking pictures without the woman's knowledge. Nope, you've got it all wrong, little student boy. Sorry? To my mind, all that was inside that hut was a scoop. Nothing more, nothing less. Scoop's no gender, man or woman, it's all news. That's not even many memoism, it's basic journalism. Only the courtroom was as indiscriminate. Right, so if that's all buttoned up, can we move on? Tell the court then, witness, what sight befell your eyes when you looked inside the hut? Sight that vindicated my journo instinct, that's what. When I pulled back the reeds, I could see it all as clear as day. Sitting on a stool, and a student girl came and started arguing with her.
Hold it!
So you actually saw Membami-san entering the hut? Yup, and she was raging like my journo spirit. And the argument you mentioned, what was that about exactly? You stole it! I didn't steal it, that kind of thing. Talking about the poison, I suppose. Student girl walked right up to the English woman and really started laying into her. Did I already do this? Yeah. We already did this one.
Hold it!
Yeah, I did this one too. Okay, so I've already pressed everything. I can skip ahead here. So I guess we have to establish where he was, like outside of the hut. Or maybe I don't think I pressed these later ones, because it skipped straight to the end. The court is fully aware of your desire to capture the incident on film, I'm sure. But why then did you choose to post the photograph anonymously to the police? I'm afraid I don't understand a word that's coming out of your mouth. I'm asking why, as a journalist, you decided not to make a story out of the incident. Think of me as a sculptor who makes art out of the sordid, private details of other people's lives. But I never discuss my own personal life on principle. I mean, that's basic many-memoism. It's not something to boast about. No doubt your burning desire to see the truth exposed and justice done was what motivated you. That's it! That's brilliant! My burning desire to see something or other exposed. There has to be a good reason why he didn't think to write an article about what he saw, though. By your own admission, you were outside the hut. How then did you manage to take the photograph? Ah, yes, that. I'm glad you asked. Pulled apart the weave.
Hold it!
But the two women inside didn't notice. Ha! Obviously not. If they had, where would I be right now? In jail, that's where. Which you'd think would make you reflect on what you were doing. No, a journo's job is to collect little snippets of life as unobtrusively as possible. Leave nothing but footprints, take nothing but photos. Yes, that's spot on. Did he just make that up? The point is, the witness risked life and limb to obtain this photograph. And this photograph reveals the whole truth. There's nothing more to be said. Oh, wait, shit! His armband has the same little logo as the fountain pen. You can't see it now because of his... Look, that's the exact same freaking... Stop. Show me your armband, sir. It's the same logo as on the fountain pen. It's the fucking same one. It's the same logo! Like, listen, we knew it was his fountain pen, but I feel like we needed something more there. There we fucking go. It is the pen. Take that shit. Many-Memo-san, until now, I've had a firm belief that newspapers are in the business of uncovering and publishing the truth. You're spot on there. The press didn't lie, which is why I'm proud to wear the emblem of the Show You News on my arm.
In a way, that's more many-memoism.
Sadly, though, it seems the journalists who write for those papers don't always share the same passion for the truth.
What are you suggesting with those recriminatory words, Counsel?
Many-Memo-san, do you recognize this fountain pen?
Yeah.
This pen was found at the scene of Miss Brett's death. In fact, the murdered victim was gripping it in her hand when she died.
What are you...
If you look at the barrel of the pen, you'll notice that its owner's initials are engraved there. R.M.
Yes, thank you for bringing that up, Counsel. The initials of the accused, Raymond Bami.
Is it a coincidence, I wonder, that your initials are also R.M.?
No!
Write-in Many-Memo. R.M.
That's horse dung. Can't you see? One of the central tenets of many-memoism is being a pencil user.
And yet, as the court will clearly be able to see, on your right hand, there's a very obvious blue ink stain.
It would appear that you have rather carelessly left it somewhere recently. Your favorite fountain pen, that is. Oh, horsey horse dung!
Many-Memo-san, is it not the case that before she died,
You met with Giselle Brett in that beach hut?
Richard!
Why should we listen to this absurd nonsense? It's nothing but another excuse! Exactly! Show You News will stand behind me all the way. I deny everything. There must be as many people with the initials RM as there are stars in the night sky.
the defense has neither the time nor the inclination to count every star in the sky.
Hmm?
And there's no need anyway, because this pen has more to tell. Yes, there is another clue. A clue that undeniably proves who its owner really is.
In that case, Counsel, the defense will now show the court where this alleged clue lies.
Of course, Your Excellency. The clue on this fountain pen that clearly reveals its owner's identity is...
Got it!
As well as the initials, there is also an emblem on this fountain pen. An emblem that you will of course recognize, Many-Memo-san.
Goodness me! It's the emblem of the show you... God, I'm getting my accents mixed up. It's the emblem of the Show You News.
In other words, the owner of this pen is an employee of the Show You News, whose initials are RM. Suddenly, the stars in the night sky don't seem so numerous, do they? Well, Many-Memo-san, how do you respond?
No! Yeah, eat shit, dude. Order! Order! Explain yourself, witness! So, this is how the mighty Supreme Court works, is it? Using coercive tactics to have well-meaning citizens reveal harmless secrets.
I've used nothing but honest tactics.
Alright then, fine. I won't try to hide it anymore. Yes, not long before that grim tragedy unfolded, I, a Show You News reporter, on behalf of the public, conducted an interview with the Englishwoman.
An interview?
You never mentioned this before!
What exactly was this?
As I said, it was before that evil little student girl showed her face in the hut. It couldn't have lasted more than 2 or 3 minutes, that's all. It was just a brief exchange. But it came to nothing, and as we many memoists say, the people don't pay their dues for unworthy news. Unworthy? Unworthy. However insignificant you deem it to be, this court cannot overlook the meeting between yourself and the victim. You will testify now under oath the precise nature of this meeting and what transpired. Got it. Yes, alright. But on the one condition. Condition? In all good conscience, I couldn't speak out alone about this. You need to call back the earlier witness, Soseki Natsume-san.
Soseki-san?
Oh yes, according to my notes here, that man has a secret of his own, and brace yourselves, it's not a harmless one. It's big.
What?
Many memoism states that one man's secret is every other man's front page story. Very well. I will grant the witnesses a request in this instance. Officer, summon the earlier witness back to the stand. Soseki-san, hiding something? I asked the Englishwoman for an interview, but she declined, so I left the hut without making a fuss. Then, watching secretly from outside, I saw the woman being stabbed and other witnesses come running. The detective realized that the victim still had a pulse, so he ran off to fetch help. That's when this rider man here asked the woman a very significant question. But he didn't say anything about that in his testimony, which is why many memoism demands I reveal it now. Oh, whoa. You mean to say the victim? The victim regained consciousness? Well, and when she did, you decided to ask her a question? That's, true. Yes. He did, and that's not all. This woman gave him a very definite answer. An answer that incriminates the accused. This is preposterous! Why am I only hearing about this now? Why didn't you mention this before, you yokel hack? It wasn't even a conversation! Yes, I did pose the withering English Rose a question, I don't deny it, but she could no longer speak. She was barely conscious even. Counsel for the defense, I expect a thorough cross-examination to be conducted here. This court must and will know the truth. Absolutely, Your Excellency. The reporter is claiming that Miss Brett implicated Ray somehow? What on earth could have happened in that hut? Let's go! Okay. What was the question? Tell me what the question was. What question? What exactly did he say? Well now, you should hear that from the horse's mouth, I think. Don't you, Mr. Riderman? Yeah. Out with it, you yokel hack! What did you say to her? What did you say to the dying Englishwoman? Well, in truth, I'd been catching crabs at the water's edge and building castles in the sand, you see. Aw. Well, the seaside is a perfect place to be at leisure, I suppose, even for a grown man. But then all of a sudden, from that little beach hut, a young girl's panic-stricken cries for help pierced the air. Ray. I ran up the beach to see what was happening, to find the defendant leaning over the collapsed victim. As soon as Inspector Hosonaga saw Miss Brett on the ground, he sprinted off to get help. And then, just a moment later, I heard a faint moan. A moan from the dead Englishwoman. I nearly jumped out of my skin! But what did you ask her, Soseki-san? I asked her, who did this to you? Don't protract this any longer. How did the woman respond? She didn't. She said nothing in response. But... when in the stand, you will answer the questions asked of you unambiguously. Now, without evasion or reticence, I demand that you amend your testimony. I keep fucking up my accents. I will! I asked her who did this to you, but she never replied.
Hold it!
So you tried to find out who the culprit was. He who asks a question is a fool for a minute. He who does not remains a fool forever. And having been labeled a criminal twice during my time in Great Britain, I was quick to make up my mind. Better to be a fool for a minute than remain a fool in prison forever. However, you've indicated that the victim failed to respond, is that correct? I know why. I know why the Englishwoman said nothing. She was ignoring me because of my stupid mustache, because I'm Japanese. Oh dear, Soseki-san has really developed a dislike for the English, it seems. Having read the report on his time in Great Britain, I can't say I'm surprised at his xenophobia. But the Englishwoman didn't ignore you at all. Did she, Mr. Riderman? Well, yes, all right. She did respond in a manner of speaking, I suppose.
She just listed a trembling finger and pointed in the direction of the defendant. Miss Brett pointed a finger at the defendant? Soseki-san, is that really true? It's not easy to stand here and say this, but when we first entered the beach hut, the Englishwoman was sprawled on the floor before us with the student girl standing on the far side of her. And when I asked, "Who did this to you?" the Englishwoman summoned her last ounce of strength to point a trembling finger at the back of the hut. Which was, it can't be denied, in the direction of the student girl who stands accused today. No. Soseki-san, why on earth did you neglect to mention this in your original testimony? But, fiddlesticks, I say! This is not a British court of law. You will respond in Japanese. Yes, of course. The Englishwoman did point her finger towards the back of the hut, but I was trembling, and she was trembling, and everything was a blur. And thinking about it, I feel as though perhaps she was pointing in a slightly different direction. Actually, no, not slightly, in a very different direction to where the student girl was standing. Just somewhere at the back of the hut, where nobody was standing at all. Oh? You mean that your memory of events and the direction in which the victim was pointing are both unclear? Yes, that's it. Unclear. I'm very, very unclear. Your Excellency, surely this proves the matter beyond all reasonable doubt. Yes, the woman may barely have been conscious, and yes, perhaps her finger wavered slightly. But there can be no doubt that this was an attempt by the victim to confirm the identity of her assailant. Why? Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking too, that she was stabbed by someone outside the hut who was creeping outside on the far left. Because as the court can see, there was no one other than the accused in the direction the victim was pointing. Oh, wasn't there? It is now abundantly clear that no one besides the accused could have possibly committed this crime. I am inclined to agree. And in the absence of any credible argument to the contrary, I believe we can now conclude this trial. What the fuck? It's not over yet. No! Heh heh heh. The headline's writing itself. Dashing lawyers hope stash. 92 points across the whole page. We'll do an extra edition. This is a serious blow, Susato. And thus we're able to identify the true culprit and substantiate our claim with evidence. The judge will give his ruling, and the trial will be over. But that's impossible, Father! We don't even know how the crime was committed yet. Impossible though the task may seem, we have no choice. We must think back over everything we've learned thus far. Somewhere in all those details, I'm confident we'll find the clue we need. Ray gave us her account of how events unfolded in the defense antechamber before the trial resumed. She told us what happened at the precise moment Miss Brett was killed. The Englishwoman was sitting at the back of the hut, listening to what I was saying. And then, a moment later, she suddenly got to her feet. Before collapsing on the floor in front of me, with a knife in her back. How could Miss Brett have been stabbed in the back in a beach hut that was empty but for herself and Ray? Somewhere amid all the information we've gathered so far, there must be an answer to that question. I take it then that the defense has nothing further to add. So, the gallant yokel student's luck finally runs out. I can't say I'm surprised. In that case, I am ready to deliver my final verdict on this matter. This is a crucial turning point now. If I can't establish what really happened, it's over. Where was the real culprit hiding? And how did he or she stab the victim? I've known how for like the last hour. Stabbed him through the back of the hut. Your Excellency, I respectfully ask that you postpone your adjudication for the time being. Oh, to what end, counsel? The defense would like to present the court with an alternative theory. An alternative theory that can explain who the victim was actually trying to implicate with her dying gesture. An alternative theory? Ha! None exists. There was someone else present at the scene who could have committed this crime. What? Nani? And the victim, Miss Brett, tried to reveal who it was to those around her at the time. By mustering all her remaining strength, and pointing a trembling finger in the killer's direction. This is fiction! Fantasy! Very well. As you seem so sure of yourself, Counsel, I am prepared to hear your alternative theory. So, young Ryutaro Naruhodo. Yes, Your Excellency. You will present your latest theory to the court by means of this plan. At the moment the victim was stabbed, what exactly are you proposing the culprit was concealed? Outside the hut, baby.
Take that!
Naruhodo-san would never give up, and I'm a Naruhodo now. The true culprit who fatally stabbed Miss Brett was concealed in this location here. Are you mad, Counsel? You're suggesting the culprit was outside the hut? What? Order, order, order! But student lawyer Naruhodo-san Esquire, that makes no sense at all. You've just pointed out the exact spot where I was hiding to get my scoop snap. But I didn't see any suspicious individuals loitering about, I can swear to that. You are a suspicious individual, bitch. Obviously, if the culprit had been outside the hut, there's no way that he or she could have stabbed the victim who was inside the hut. Actually, Prosecutor Ouchie, there is a way. Ah. And, in point of fact, the defense can provide evidence strongly suggesting that is precisely the way Miss Brett was killed. You're bluffing! The defense's assertion is clearly too fantastical for the court to comprehend. You'll need to give us more guidance, Counsel. What piece of evidence corroborates your theory that the victim was stabbed from outside the hut? Would it be this photograph? Or... I think it's probably that first photograph, right? Because you can kind of actually, like, see the slit. Because she was sitting on the stool, and that's where the slit happened. Kaboom. The original photographic print of the crime scene? Yes, it's clearly visible in this print. The trace of the fatal thrust that was delivered from outside the beach hut. Do you take us for fools? There's no hint of any such thing! I'm not sure that everyone present would agree. Someone, at least, appears to have noticed what it is that I'm referring to. Counsel, once again I must call on you to be explicit for the court. Say fuck right now! Where on this photograph is the trace of the stabbing which you claim took place from outside the hut? Right here. Look closely just here. In the screen at the back of the hut, you can clearly see the effects of a blade having been forced through the reeds. No, I can't! I can't see any such thing! It's true that the hut in question had 4 walls as you'd expect. However, by parting the reeds, a knife blade could easily penetrate them. This is extraordinary! Yes. The true culprit actually stabbed the victim from outside the beach hut. And everyone present at the scene, there is only one person who could have done that. Only one person who was directly outside the hut when Miss Brett was killed. Right in Many Memo-san, it could have only been you! No! Get him. Get him. This preposterous idea leaves me almost speechless. I wish it did. Just look at the photograph again. The victim lies almost exactly in the center of the beach hut, does she not? Are we to assume, as part of this farcical scenario, that the assailant was a knife thrower? No, of course not. We're not? If you recall the testimony of the defendant about the events just before the victim's death. Inside the beach hut, I confronted Miss Brett. But she just sat on a stool at the back of the hut, smiling sweetly at me, as if she knows she was untouchable. A stool? Have another look at the photograph. The slit in the reed screen would align perfectly with the back of the person who was sitting on that stool. My word! So, in fact, the victim was killed whilst sitting on that stool by a stab wound to her back delivered through the reed screen. Ah! Having been attacked, Miss Brett rose to her feet instinctively. But then, unable to speak, she collapsed on the floor in the middle of the hut. Before the defendant, Membami-san's appalled eyes. And that, Your Excellency, is the truth of what happened on the beach that day. By your silence, Memo-san, I take it that you don't deny the charge. This is absurd! That will do. It would appear that we have a tacit admission of guilt from the witness. Accordingly, this court has successfully established the truth of this matter, which means that the defendant, Membami-san, is innocent of the crime. Oh, thank goodness. I finally made him cave. I must say, I've never been more proud. No, this can't be. The Ouchie clan can't. What of my growth? My growth of a hope. It wasn't all an apparition. I can't accept this. I won't. I see no reason for the continuance of this trial. He's gonna get interrupted by what's-his-fuck. Yep. I saw it coming. I saw it coming. Ha ha ha. Well, this is all very convenient. This is how the highest court in our mighty empire delivers justice, is it? Suppressing well-meaning citizens' freedom to speak and branding them as criminals. But we've established that the victim was stabbed from outside the hut, through the reed screen walls. And no one but you was in place at the time to have his hand on the hilt of the blade. It's a perfectly logical deduction. So, the argument hinges on the location of whoever stabbed the Englishwoman, does it? Well, it seems a little irrelevant now. Irrelevant? Where she was stabbed, how she was stabbed. It doesn't matter. I mean, whether she was stabbed at all makes no difference if you think about it. After all, this trial's already shown the whole thing hinges on something else. Soseki's like, you seeing this shit? Camera? What are you talking about? Brace yourself, little man. I'm talking about the fact that everything's changed. Because of the dirt you dug up. What? Enough obscurity. Explain yourself, witness. What's to explain? I'm talking about the poison, of course. The poison? Let's ask the professor for a comment on the situation, shall we? I understand that a deadly poison you were developing was stolen from your laboratory, correct? And it's been shown that this poison was administered to the victim, Miss Brett. Am I right? That is correct. The unusual constriction of the victim's pupils are a sure sign that this particular poison was used. I see. So, presumably that means that the victim already had the poison in her body before she was stabbed. Given that her pupils were clearly constricted, it seems highly likely, yes. If she had been dead already, the poison could not have circulated in her blood. How refreshing to hear the argument of a metropolitan mind. Precisely! It matters not a jot who stabbed the whom and whose back and with whose blade. Because, quite simply, the Englishwoman's life was taken not by the knife, but by the poison. But that can be explained by the poison being on the blade, as we already know it wasn't on the blade, Susato. Forgotten already, have we, Yoko? During those very proceedings, the laboratory of the professor at her side has assisted in proving that the blade of the weapon used to attack the victim had no trace of poison on it whatsoever. Yeah. So, let me get this down. The facts as skillfully established by the defense in this trial turn out to be a headline-making red herring. Is that about right? Well... Yeah. Order! But where does this leave us? How, in that case, did the poison enter the victim's body? There is an undeniably obvious answer to that. The lady most likely imbibed it. You mean she drank it? Have another look at the photograph here. As you can see, a bottle of carbonated water and a glass had been knocked onto the sandy floor of the beach hut. The poison could have slipped into either. So somebody made Miss Brett drink it. Well, what do you know? Look at those dashing eyes. This will make a great front-page shot. Hey, why the bewitching stare? After all, I'm the last person you should be looking at. It would make no sense at all that I poisoned the woman, would it? I mean, that's been established already. Established? What are you talking about? Don't tell me you've forgotten. That's a little hard to believe, given that the person who's established it was you. Me? What on earth does he mean? Oh, let me capture those wide eyes. This is prime press fodder, this is. It would seem this trial is not destined to end yet after all. I hereby call upon the witness to give further testimony. Ah, great that is. Let me get a shot of that magnificent beard, Your Excellency. You claim it to be impossible that you were the one responsible for administering the poison to the victim. You will explain to the court in your testimony the basis upon which you make such a claim. I'm a Geno, and I'm a man. I've never tried to run or hide anything in my life. And I'm not about to start now, because that's many memoism. For a brief moment, I thought I'd illuminated the truth, but slipped right back into obscurity again. Just where is this trial gonna take us? Oh yes, I stabbed the Englishwoman, and that very fact proves I'm innocent. Because why would I have bothered to stab the woman if I'd already poisoned her? When I heard the student girl and that pompous English murderer arguing, it got my goat. If the courts weren't going to punish Brett for what she did, someone else would have to see justice done. Okay, you still stabbed a lady though. You still stabbed her. So, you admit it then? That everything happened as I described? That you're the one who stabbed Miss Brett in the back through the read screen? You can blame this miserable country of ours. A country that bows to the pressure of foreign powers and lets murderers walk free. What kind of future can a country like that have? That's why I did it. I did what our pathetic leaders didn't have the guts to do. Slip bang in the middle of that charming lady's back. I plunged the blade of sweet justice right in there. That still counts as murder, dude. As someone who spends his life seeing that the truth is told, I feel really, really awful about giving false information in my testimony before. But as it turns out, there was somebody else who added in for the victim and got to her before me. That's right, you guessed it. That pretty little student girl. Now there's a woman after my own heart. You're implicating Ray again? She's the one who gave the poison to the Englishwoman and ended her pitiful existence. And suddenly, snap, this Geno here is off the hook. You still stabbed her, though. The argument is sound, certainly. If the witness had administered the poison himself, he'd need only have waited for it to take effect. Subsequently, stabbing the victim in the back would have been entirely nonsensical. And therefore, this reporter had nothing to do with the poisoning. Yes, it's all quite logical. That's right, it is. Logical and true. I'm glad you've all seen the light. Justice at last. This is unbelievable. After I'd made so much progress in proving his guilt, is he gonna get away with it now? You still stabbed a lady, dude. Think of Kazuma-sama and Naruhodo-san. They never stopped looking for a way forward until the judge's final gavel. And there's the judge's final gavel. Very well then, counsel. Proceed with what I assume to be your final cross-examination in this trial. Ooh, we might finish this in just under a shy 3 hours. Perfect. Yes, Your Excellency. Like I said, I was hoping we could get through this whole thing in one stream. Excellent. Let's fucking go.
Hold it!
So you still maintain that you didn't give the poison to the victim? Obviously. That'd be like putting a belt on your trousers when you're already wearing braces like these. The accused administered the poison, following which the witness stabbed the victim. An unforgivable act, certainly, but not one of murder. That crime rests on the accused's shoulders. That is how the law works, you see, yokel. Who knows, you may even learn something here today. 2 consecutive attempts on her life in the space of minutes? Quite the day for the victim. Do something that evil, and you got it coming. That's how the law works, the law of reckoning. That's not the kind of law this court upholds. We'll reiterate why you were compelled to stab the victim then, witness. When I heard the student girl scream, got my goat.
Hold it!
And was that someone else, you, Minimamo-san? No comment. Sorry? It was the accused who sent the Englishwoman to hell. I just waved her off, that's all. Alright, yes, I got my hands a little dirty in the process, it's true. But you listen to me. My blade was restless as the injustice of it all. That woman got what she deserved. I say we should applaud the young student girl for having the courage to rid the world of that menace. It hasn't been proven that the defendant did anything of the sort. Heh heh heh. Sorry about that. Slip of the tongue. If the victim had unwittingly taken the poison already, the reporter would have had no reason to stab her. On the face of it, that logic sounds entirely reasonable. But there's no question that this man was responsible for Miss Brett's murder. We could think of a plausible explanation as to why he might have stabbed her even after the poisoning. I feel sure that everything would drop into place. That's what we should be looking for. Yes, I agree. And in order to do that, I must try to glean more information. Okay.
Hold it!
So, you do admit that you had murderous intentions towards Miss Brett, then? Ha! The woman's very existence offended my sense of justice. Your sense of... he's claiming some sort of righteous indignation? She was pure evil. A cold-blooded killer who'd committed murder right there on our empire's soil. But did our good-for-nothing government do anything? Not a chance, so I had to step in. Fly the flag of justice, put things right for the people. Yes, it was my civic duty. That's what drove me to do it. So, in summary, murderous intentions then. Whatever you want to call it, the point is this. That Englishwoman was a blight, so I had to do what was right for society. Yet a real wrong was done by the student girl in the dock, a crime for which she must pay. Obviously, because the poisoning has nothing to do with me at all. Because why would I have bothered to stab the woman if I'd already poisoned her? So you still maintain that you didn't give the poison to the victim? Obviously. That'd be like putting a belt on your trousers when you were already— oh, did I already press this one? Yeah, I already pressed this one.
Hold it!
What exactly were they arguing about? About what happened in the restaurant 9 months ago, that's what. The student girl was laying into the Englishwoman for killing a beloved mentor, Dr. Wilson. Yes, John H. Wilson. A professor of medicine invited here from England by Professor Mikotoba, no less. Right, but the Englishwoman just jeered. Her case was to be heard by the British Consular Court in Shanghai, however, and there is little doubt that she would simply have been acquitted and sent back to her homeland a free woman. It was eating that student girl up inside, you could see it. I really fell for her. Hello? Ray, is that you again? Yep. I can't. I can't stand here and listen to this tripe. Ray? Young girl, you stand accused here. You can't just blurt out whenever you feel like. No, you can't. Sorry, but I'm in the middle of some very important testimony here. Just keep quiet and listen. But this awful man is making all this up. Susato, please, you have to make them listen. Return to the dock at once, Membami-san. We are in the middle of a cross-examination.
Hold it!
Your Excellency, please, I implore you. That journalist is clearly not a trustworthy witness. Exactly! He's a filthy, rotten, black-hearted, bigoted, dirty-peeping Tom. Whoa, take it easy there. Please, I really think the court should hear what the defendant has to say. Your Excellency, I see no need whatsoever to entertain the accused remarks. I will grant the request of the defense. But, Your Excellency! This is likely to be the final cross-examination of these proceedings. As such, I believe it would be ill-advised to stifle the defendant's obvious concerns. So, whilst recognizing that this contravenes earlier protocol, I hereby call upon the defendant to speak. Oh. Thank you very much, Your Excellency. It was nothing to do with Dr. Wilson. We were discussing the stolen poison. Okay, is that all she says? Alright. The stolen poison that killed the victim, you mean? I suspected her of being the one to steal it. I mean, just think about how she killed Dr. Wilson. That's true. Additionally, Miss Brett certainly had knowledge of the new poison. But surely it would be no easy task to steal a highly secret toxin being developed for the government. Indeed, all visitors to the laboratory are thoroughly searched when they leave. Even if a thief managed to avoid being seen by myself or a colleague, getting the poison out would be very difficult. That's true. I pestered Professor Mikuchoba until he agreed to show me the poison when I visited his laboratory. But as I left, I was searched from top to tail. Miss Brett rather bluntly revealed the existence of the toxin we'd been developing, you see. And since Saseki-san expressed such an interest in it, I felt unable to refuse. Obviously, I gave nothing away other than the fact that it was an extremely potent substance. I'm very ashamed of myself. It's just that I've had a singularly terrible experience with a deadly poison. I wanted to look my old enemy in the eye. Surely you can understand that. To find out if my suspicions were true, I confronted Miss Brett about the poison. I told her that there were to be an incident involving it somehow. It wouldn't just be the university. The military would be dragged into it. The whole government, even. It would be a complete disaster. And how did Miss Brett respond to your concerns? She just curled those beautiful lips of hers and said she didn't know the first thing about it. In English, actually. Ah, yes. Memo-san, one small question, if you don't mind. I do mind. Can't you see I'm busy? Clearly you were outside the beach hut listening in while the defendant and Miss Brett were conversing. Presumably, then, it was you who wrote this article about what you'd heard? Get 'em. Exclusive. Deadly poison stolen from Yume Medical Research Laboratory. The story was published in this morning's edition of Shoyu News. The details are too accurate for it to have been written by anyone else. Sorry, don't know what you're talking about. Yes, look at this! This entire article is almost exactly what I said to Miss Brett word for word. Yeah. Well, Memo-san? As a Geno, and as a citizen of a free country, I don't have to reveal my sources. That's a founding principle in Memoism. Father's clearly right about this. That reporter did write that article, and he based it on what he overheard from outside the hut. Nice. So that's what that was all about. You were trying to cover up the fact that you were listening in. That's why you came up with that stinking story about me arguing with her. Shut up! My stories never stink. Look, whatever you say, little girl, it doesn't alter the facts. Your Excellency, there's something I want to say, and I want to go on record. Very well, you may amend your formal testimony. Chill out, Sideburns. The point is, if you'd poison someone, there'd be no reason to then go and stab the person as well. Let me have a look at that article again.
I have a feeling maybe the poison was taking too long and he got impatient and that's why he stabbed her.
Hold it!
Perhaps you doubted the efficacy of the poison and sought to make sure your victim would die.
That's horse dung.
What?
That would be like pouring pepper on your Chinese ramen before you'd even tasted it. Completely reckless. Although, it might surprise you to learn that I am a bit of an impetuous pepper pourer as it happens.
Once the victim had taken the poison, she would have been only minutes away from death. And yet, this man then proceeded to stab her in the back as well. There has to have been a good reason for that.
If it was the reporter who gave the poison to Miss Brett, then clearly, he must have done it prior to Ray entering the hut.
Yes, that's undeniable.
But between him leaving the hut and the victim being stabbed, there was one very crucial change in the situation.
Sorry, what change?
The reporter overheard the conversation between Ray and the Englishwoman.
Ah, yes, that's it. That's when Renimemo-san first found out the exact nature of the poison he'd used. That could be the key here.
If the victim had unwittingly taken the poison already, the reporter would have had no reason to stab her. On the face of it, that logic sounds entirely reasonable.
But there's no question that this man was responsible for Miss Brett's murder.
If we could think of a plausible explanation as to why he might have stabbed her even after the poisoning, I feel sure that everything would drop into place. That's what we should be looking for.
Yes, I agree. And in order to do that, I must try to glean more information.
Gonna save real quick. Gonna save real quick. Aw, man. Okay, so they have, like, the little silhouettes on the save files. I wish they had a Susato silhouette there instead of Ryu, because that would have been cute. Just for, like, her one little thing. I wonder. So, I think first thing we gotta do is figure out why he stabbed her. Because my gut says he stabbed her because he didn't want them to continue having that conversation. Because, like, he overheard them talking. He's like, okay, the poison's not working fast enough. I gotta kill her now. Maybe it was to take the heat off himself by getting the photo. Here, let me just look at this one again.
Hold it!
If it was the reporter who gave the poison to Miss Brett, then clearly he must have done it prior to Ray entering the hut. Okay. So between him leaving the hut and the victim being stabbed, there was one very crucial change in the situation. The reporter overheard the conversation between Ray and the Englishwoman. He didn't want it getting out that he stole the poison because he freaked out that the military and the academy would be involved. Okay, I think I got it. He freaked out when he realized how much trouble he'd be in for using the poison. And then he stabbed her to try and cover up the fact that he used the poison at all. Oh, wait, goddammit. Ah! I keep going too fast. Shit. Just go to the last one. Rumored to be commissioned by the military.
Objection!
There we go. Music stopped. That's a good sign.
Well, I can think of one reason.
What? What?
But before I explain, I'd like you to confirm something for the court. Did you glean all the information for this newspaper article from what you overheard outside the hut?
Of course he did. There can be no question of that. After all, when we were all in the laboratory together, we were told is that it was a terrible toxin.
And there is one more important fact to consider. According to the witness, Membami-san's verbal attack against the victim began as soon as she entered the hut. In other words, it would have been impossible for her to have slipped the poison into Miss Brett's drink.
Objection!
Where are you going with this, counsel?
Memo-san has made it quite clear that he observed every single thing that happened in the beach hut. If the defendant had somewhere found an opportunity, this man would have seen it.
Yeah. Which means that Miss Brett couldn't have imbibed the poison while the defendant was present. In fact, it must have been administered to her before Membami-san entered the hut. Yes, very articulately put.
When I walked into the hut, I immediately started to press Miss Brett about the poison. At which point, Memo-san overheard some worrying information.
Worrying information? What worrying information?
The information which he subsequently included in his newspaper article, namely, that the poison was being developed in strict secrecy and that it couldn't be readily obtained.
Absolutely. In fact, that's quite an understatement. The only possible place it could come from is my lab.
And furthermore, anyone afflicted by the poison would exhibit telltale signs in death. The extreme constriction of the pupils. Yes, it's quite stark when you see it. There are other poisons that show similar symptoms, but not among new substances that are undetectable. In other words, it would be clear that the victim's life had been ended by the use of this particular poison, which would reduce the number of suspects to only a handful of people.
Ah! Everyone in my laboratory is aware of the unique properties of the toxin we've been developing. None of them would be foolish enough to attempt to use it for some nefarious deed. Membami-san being no exception.
Therefore, we can conclude that whoever administered this unique poison to the victim was a layperson unaware of its telltale properties.
Ugh.
In other words, someone like you, right in Memo.
Gah!
It was you who stole the poison from the laboratory that day, and it was you who administered it to the unwitting victim. But you quickly realized that was a terrible mistake. Because of the poisons caused such unnatural systems and was so traceable. And you listened in from the far side of the beach hut's thin walls, you learned of these facts. But you'd already given the victim the poison at that point. It was too late. So you hatched a plan to disguise your mistake. A plan that involved stabbing the victim in the back through the reed screen.
Objection!
But what good could that possibly do?
Isn't it obvious, counsel? The plan was to kill Miss Brett before the poison could take effect.
Once in the blood, the poison causes the onset of pupil constriction. But had he hoped to precipitate the victim's death before that happened, hadn't he?
Exactly. Because without any revealing signs of the new secret potion's use...
Poison.
No one ever is suspected.
This is extraordinary.
Yes, the effects of the poison meant it would be too easily identified, so the killer had to mask its use, which he attempted to do by plunging a knife into the middle of the victim's back.
Order! The argument presented is sound. The court is satisfied that it warrants consideration. Does the prosecution have a counter-argument it wishes to put forward? Well, there are a number of... yes, I counter completely!
The prosecution's evasive response clearly shows that in much the same way as he nurtures the remnants of his topknot, he is clinging to lost hope.
Oh shit! Lost hope? Get him! Damn, girl.
The hat is down. Ah, you pathetic, useless fallen samurai! Fallen? Who are you calling fallen? My burgeoning growth is on there. I don't need a counter-argument. What are you talking about? It should be blatantly obvious. I stole the poison, you say. Gave it to the victim, you say. Stabbed her, you say. Lots of fine theories. But I don't need a counter-argument because you don't have an argument yourself. Where's your evidence? Fountain pen. Yes, you make it all sound so plausible, don't you? But without evidence, it means nothing. Whereas I base my news on facts. Facts? What do you mean? Explain yourself. I mean, what the professor said earlier in this trial. It's all here, in my many memos. Every word, every slip of the tongue, all noted. That's what the Show You News is famous for. It's the power of the printed word. But surely it would be no easy task to steal a highly secret toxin developed for the government. Indeed, all visitors to the laboratory are thoroughly searched when they leave. Even if a thief managed to avoid being seen by myself or a colleague, getting the poison out would be very difficult. How's that then? Blown the story wide open. See, I write many memo. A mere reporter from the Show You News. Couldn't possibly have stolen that poison from the professor's laboratory. Yeah! Come on, baby girl, get it. It's in the pen. But there can't be any question of it. He must have stolen the poison that day. He stole it and used it to kill. And if that's the case... As you've identified, the poison itself is definitive evidence we need. Because whoever stole it from the laboratory that day is the true culprit here. What's your point, you annoyingly handsome country bumpkin? My point is this. There is one way that you, Many Memo-san, could have stolen the poison that day. Get 'em. I have heard their verbal conjecture now, thank you. What the court must be shown is evidence. What proof do you have that this witness stole the poison on the day in question? Fountain pen! The proof, Your Excellency, is this fountain pen. Yeah, a fountain pen? How can that possibly be relevant? These magical pens somehow seem to have enough ink to write many thousands of kanji characters. I believe they arrived in our country for the first time some 15 years ago now. Bah! I swear by a weasel hair calligraphy brush and nothing else. These newfangled pens are merely a fad. Well, as a forward-thinking man of words, obviously I love my fountain pen. Suck up a soupçon of sumptuous ink in one's work is a wash in the words of a blink of an eye. That's right. Fountain pens have a small reservoir in the barrel, into which ink is sucked up through the nib pen in order to write with later. What does this all talking of sucking up ink have? Yeah! And just as it's possible to suck ink up into the reservoir, it's also possible to eject it through the nib again, of course. My word, can this really be? Well, Many Memo-san? When you saw the deadly poison before your eyes in the laboratory that day, you used your fountain pen, your very lifeblood, to steal some of it, didn't you? By siphoning the poison up through the nib and into the pen's reservoir. Ah! She's too handsome. She can't be a real lawyer. More absurdity. That never happened. True, we've heard that there were procedures in place to prevent thefts like this from the laboratory. But would anyone have thought to look inside a fountain pen of all places? No, I'm a little ashamed to say that for fear of offending our guests, such a detailed search would not have been conducted. Well, this is quite startling, I must say. I remind the court that this pen was found in the clutches of the victim when she died. In other words, it was dropped at the scene by Many Memo-san. So the crucial question is, when exactly was the pen dropped? Are you suggesting? The natural conclusion is that in your haste to act while the victim was distracted for a moment, you dropped the pen after you emptied the poison from it into her glass. There could be any number of alternative explanations. For example, the witness could have been using his pen to write down details of his conversation with the victim. And when shocked out by one of her outrageous answers, the pen fell from his quivering hand. No, that can't be. If it was, how do you explain why the pen was devoid of ink? What? As you can see for yourself if you examine the evidence, there would appear to be no ink present in the reservoir. What newspaper reporter goes to interview someone with nothing in his pen? No, the pen was dropped after the poison that filled the reservoir had been emptied into the victim's glass. Witness, what do you have to say in your defense? So this is how our modern justice system works, is it? So what if the ink in my pen runs dry? So what if my pencil snaps? I'm Wolverine! I can always claw my way back into the game. I have plenty in reserve. Ah! Okay, that's dangerous. You claim I sucked the poison up into my pen? That's wild speculation, nothing more. If you thought you could bring me down a fine upstanding citizen with a trick like that, think again. It looks as though it's going to take one final decisive blow to finish this matter. As I see it, the situation is now very simple. It rests upon whether or not this witness did indeed steal the poison on the day in question. And therefore, it all depends on whether or not the defense can prove that he did with evidence. Ha! No such evidence could possibly exist. Many Memo-san, this is how our modern justice system works. What? In the courtroom, evidence is everything. Something you would do well to remember. Because we are well past the point of speculation at this stage, I assure you. Very well then, I call upon the defense to present the aforementioned evidence. This is it then. This will be the final piece in the puzzle. I just got chills a little bit, like legitimately. The defense can prove, by means of this item, that it was the witness's pen that was used to steal the poison. Chemical reagent! Counsel, what is that bottle? This bottle contains the unique chemical reagent that can identify the poison in question. Ah! Yes, that poison is an entirely new synthesis of alkaloids developed by my colleagues and I. It would be impossible to detect traces of it by any other method. Or, from another perspective, simply with this chemical reagent, anybody at all could check for traces of the poison. A reagent? What? One drop of the contents of this bottle on the tip of your fountain pen, Many Memo-san, is all it will take to solve this case beyond all reasonable doubt. No, you can't. I won't. Your crimes are bad enough, but at least know when to admit defeat. Your Excellency, the defense requests permission to carry out the test on the fountain pen at once. Oh, I thought he was gonna... There we go. Oh, shit! This isn't my fault! The Empire drove me to this, trying to hold its head as a civilized nation, but bowing its head to every form. I took up arms in the world with a pen. I fought on the battlefield, all name of justice and righteousness, and many men... Oh, shit! Damn, girl, get him! Susato, with me! I'm there! Oh, fuck! Get him! Fuck yeah! Action, girlfriends! Did I do it right? That was a Susato takedown, wasn't it? Not quite. That was a Ryutaro takedown. Oh, I've summoned my cat with my noises. Hi, Molly! Hi, Brow Brow! What are you doing? Oh, are you gonna come over here? Okay. The instant the first drop of reagent touched the nib of the fountain pen, it was clear to everyone present. When I saw it there in the lab, poison, the devil got hold of me and I decided to do it on a whim. I excused myself and emptied all the ink down the sink into the bathroom, washing the reservoir out carefully. And then you waited for an opportunity to suck up some of the poison, didn't you? Into your fountain pen. Yes, that's right. Answer me one thing, Many Memo-san. Why did you steal it? For what purpose? Isn't it obvious? To find out what it was made of and expose it in an article.
I mean, it was a secret project after all. Too juicy for a journo like me to pass up.
Then why did the Englishwoman end up dead?
I went into that hut intending to quiz her on the situation, that's all, as a reporter. A known killer, enjoying full freedom, evading justice by leaving the country. I told her what I thought about it. And she just laughed in my face!
Oh, what's this? A Vaistan caveman purporting to practice journalism? Really, you must learn the difference between reporting and listening at doorways, you ignorant plebeian.
What'd you call me?
This country with its pretensions to a justice system, to a free press, it's really very depressing. You see all superior ways in the West, yet you lack the mental capacity to emulate them. Get out of here, you oaf. Get out and crawl back into the cave you came from.
That's when I remembered about the deadly poison I happened to have in my pen at the time. Again, and I will say this again. She had it coming. She had it coming. She only had herself to blame. Brap, brap. What a terrible tale. In my head, I knew I should just get out of there as quickly as possible, but I couldn't. I couldn't let her get away with what she'd done, but she clearly had no remorse at all. I suppose it was my journo spirit getting all fired up. It's a shame he's a murderer, because I do like his character design. He's cute, but like in a shady, murdered a lady way.
I'd like to ask you something.
Yes.
You often talk about justice. But surely as a journalist, you could have used other means to deliver the justice you sought.
There's no justice in the press.
Sorry?
After that trial 9 months ago, I kept digging and digging to find out what happened in that courtroom. And finally, I discovered the truth. It was a cover-up. That's what it was.
Alexander Arcade, thank you for the raid! Right at the end!
We're almost done with the first trial of Great Ace Attorney, Game 2. We're almost done.
A cover-up? What do you mean?
I would like to remind you of your position, witness. Be careful of what you say. Oh, come on! Doesn't it strike you as strange? We're suddenly not allowed to convict a foreign national? Consular jurisdiction could never have come into it. And yet that puffed-up Englishwoman was going to sail away into the sunset a free woman. The only possible explanation is that behind the scenes some deal had gone down between Britain and Japan.
What sort of deal?
I'd done my research, dug up all the dirt. It was all ready to be published.
Mealy M, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the Stream Squad.
But you know what happened? The editor just tore the article up. He came under pressure from the government, you mean? If our government is going to let criminals walk free, they're going to crush the free press. What choice do I have but to see that justice is done myself?
Let's not forget, Memo-san, that you committed murder yourself, and you tried to lay the blame on the defendant's door. I'm sorry, but you're no better than Giselle Brett.
What?
The truth is, you have no right to talk about justice at all.
I suppose. Get 'em. It would appear we have reached a conclusion in this trial at last. Counsel for the defense, Ryutaro Naruhodo.
Oh. Yes. Sorry, Your Excellency, just musing in a manly way here.
It's almost unbelievable that this is your first experience of the Supreme Court. It was an excellent performance. In truth, very much reminded me of her cousin's exploits.
Oh, Naruhodo-san. Ryunosuke, you mean?
The way he handled the trial 9 months ago and the way you handled this one.
It gives me hope that we are genuinely entering a new era of justice in this land. That's very flattering, Your Excellency. Hearing the defense you put forward today made me feel most keenly that the future of our justice system will be forged by you and your contemporaries. Thank you. So, Prosecutor Aochi, do you have any final thoughts? What you got there, bud? Prosecutor Aochi? Aye, Taketsuchi and the Aochi clan have been bested by a callow youth not once now, but twice. Is he gonna commit Sudoku? If there was any shred of my former self left, it has withered and died here today. Gosh, your journey to cultural enlightenment sure took a while, didn't it? Silence! He's gonna commit Sudoku! Rather than living on in shame. I will end it all now with this blade. This is dark, for that is the true path to Aochiism. Aochiism? One hopes that's the only way in which he'll be modeling himself after the witness. Sprig of my top knot, the time is right for farewell. Hope is lost forever. Taketsuchi. Oh no! The sprig of hope! Oh, fucking rip. The prayer hands, amazing. Amazing. God, F's in the chat, everybody. Now, in regard to the defendant, Remembami-san. Yes, Your Excellency? I have reached my final verdict. I hereby find you... not guilty. Pachoo, pachoo, pachoo. Yay! Court is adjourned. We did it! We did the whole court case in one game! Or one sitting. Yay! Yay! Hooray! It's over. My heart is still pounding in my chest, though. It's all I can do just to stay standing. Baby, lawyers have such great responsibility. Such a great burden to bear. Don't they, Naruhodo-san? Susato! Oh, baby girl. Thank you so much. You were so dashing in there. Ray and Father. Honestly, I'm so touched by everything you've... Oh no, I think I'm gonna cry. It wasn't easy, but together we made it. I was on the verge of tears at the end too. The only reason I'm still here is because of you? Oh no, I can't take all the credit. It took courage to tell the truth in there. You did wonderfully, Ray. So I would have to say that the congratulations belong to you. Susato, don't be so standoffish. Sorry? We're friends, equals, and the trial's over. So no more of this formal super humility nonsense. It's time to celebrate with swagger, to throw caution to the wind. Caution to the... what? I'm the great defense lawyer, Ryutaro Naruhodo, and I'm taking you out to a milk bar tomorrow. Or something. Right, I see. I'll, think about it, Ray. At any rate, we really knocked the wind out of that horrid man, and it felt so good. Yes, it was satisfying. It really was. Isn't there anybody else we could throw together? I hope you're not looking at me, Ray. Oh, my goodness, no, of course not. Ah, there it is at last. Ray's lovely smile. Yay! You fought with your friend for the very last. As your father, I'm extremely proud of you. Defense Attorney Ryutaro Naruhodo. Thank you, but I couldn't have done it without your help. Anyway, it's time to bid farewell to Ryutaro, I think. I shall miss him in a way, but it's back to Suzato Mikotoba now. So, I'll never see him again then? What a terrible shame! What? Who's this? Oh, these nerds. Oh, what is happening? Ah, Soseki-san and Inspector Hosonaga. I do hope you've been keeping well. Is that really you? Yes, I had to change my appearance for, well, obvious reasons, I hope. But it's me, Suzato Mikotoba. I don't... So dashing, so divine. No! Doubly dashing! Yes, and devilishly divine! Just look at you! I had no idea, Miss Suzato-san Esquires. You were locum student Naruhodo-san's Esquire's cousin! Astonishingly astounding Ace Attorney! Yes, that is the title of the game, sir, thank you. Poor Soseki-san, so confused. I still remember the first time I ever met him. He was in a prison cell in London. What an extraordinary conundrum it was that he was an unwilling student from Japan found himself embroiled in. But after Naruhodo-san's skillful defense at the Old Bailey, Soseki-san was free to return to Japan. And now he seems to have earned himself great fame as an author. What's up, Turtle? I'm stunned. That's truly an impressive disguise. Even I had no idea, and I'm a chief inspector at the police bureau, who came up with Mr. Turtle, no less. Mr. Turtle. Oh my god. I'm not sure you should be admitting to that, Inspector. Amazing. You're a woman of many faces, I see. Just two, really, and this was a once-in-a-lifetime event, I hope. Oh, I'm not a patch on you, though, Inspector. Well, I am a professional, of course. I do worry about Inspector Hosonaga sometimes, I really do. You should. He's bleeding from his mouth constantly. 9 months ago, when he appeared at the Supreme Court to testify, he was undercover, disguised as the head waiter of a restaurant. And then on the steamship to Great Britain, of course, disguised as a sailor to keep us safe on the journey. Oh, Kazuma! Though that didn't help you, did it? Kazuma-sama. From my perspective, I have to admit I have mixed feelings about all this. I mean, now that the truth has been lost forever. What do you mean? I'm talking about the murder that Englishwoman committed at the end of last year. Ah, yes, it was an English doctor she killed, as I understand it. Dr. John H. Wilson, yes. The man I invited to Japan personally. The mystery is, why did she kill him? And now that the culprit herself is dead, we'll probably never know the answer. On the voyage to Great Britain, we had a most unexpected encounter. With Mr. Sherlock Sholmes, the great detective, I mean. Is she gonna ask them about it? Yes, I remember Mr. Sholmes well, of course. Ah, my arch nemesis! How lightly you utter his name! Well, according to the stories published about him in the Adventures of Sherlock Sholmes, the detective once had a partner who helped him solve crimes. A best friend. Best friends die in this game! You're not allowed to have any friends in Ace Attorney, because if you have a friend, they die. Ray, you gotta get out of here, baby girl. And that man was an exceptional doctor of medicine by the name of John H. Wilson. What? Dr. Wilson? I just can't believe that it's a coincidence. I think that the English doctor of medicine killed here in Japan 9 months ago must have been the friend and partner of Mr. Sholmes. And if that's really true, then the poor girl won't ever see her beloved father again. Iris, baby! As you know, I traveled to Great Britain once myself to study.
It was around the time you were born.
Yes, grandmother told me about it.
On returning to Japan, I took up a professorship at the Imperial Yume University. But I also serve another role, as an advisor to the government on diplomatic affairs.
Yes, I was aware of that as well.
In that case, I'm sure you understand that there are some confidential matters I cannot divulge to you.
Could you just tell me one thing? Why did you summon me back to Japan? It's been 2 months now since I returned. When I left England, it was because an urgent telegram had arrived from Japan. It said that you'd collapsed with a high fever and you were growing weaker by the day. What? Where did that news come from? That's what I'd like to know, because after that long sea voyage, I found you in fine health, Father. Was there something in Great Britain that you perceived might inconvenience me in some way? Or harm me? That's really the only explanation I can think of.
Huh. Dear me. You reserve your most cutting glares for your father, Susato? I'm sorry, my dear. I simply can't... Oh shit, it's you again.
Many Memo-san. So, one throw was enough for you?
I've got one last thing to say before they take me away. Professor! Me? I know the truth! I know you had a hand in what went on. And that visiting student's fate.
Visiting student? Giselle Brett, you mean?
No, not her! The student of law who left for Great Britain 8 months ago.
Well, student of law?
Kazuma?
Kazuma-sama? What are you talking about? What does any of this have to do with Kazuma-sama?
Nobody here in Japan knows anything about it. They don't know that the guy never made it to England, that he died on that steamship. And that he'll never... The fucking judge? Okay. Well, I didn't expect to find him in here. What were you officers playing at? Terribly sorry, Your Excellency. Huh. I was coming to tell you that the rickshaw has arrived, Eugen, and it's a good job I came by. Yes, thank you for dealing with him, and I'll be there shortly.
Oh, Your Excellency.
Ha 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 ha. Trial's over. I'm not Your Excellency anymore. Merely your father's friend, Seshiro Jigoku. And I may say that since I saw you last, you seem to have taken on a more dashing appearance. Susato.
Did you know all along from the start of the trial?
Ha 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 ha. A judge sees everything, Susato. Cool guy judge doesn't point it out. Nice. I couldn't let you take the risk. If Seishiro here hadn't known it, then he'd recognized you. So I had a word in his ear beforehand, as an old friend. So, Seishiro, shall we? Yes. Having ruled on the case, we can now have more various diplomatic issues to address.
Before you go, Father.
Sorry, my dear. We have to return to our earlier conversation at a later date. But well done again, both of you. You did admirably.
Oh, thank you very much.
What did you think of my Seishiro sling, eh? It's been a while since I sent a man flying like that.
Whatever could Father be hiding from me? About Giselle Brett, about Dr. Wilson, and now it seems, according to the reporter, about Kazuma-sama. I'm gonna have to bring this up with Father sometime, when nobody else is around.
Oh, hi, Saseki.
Judicial Assistant Mukotoba-san, Esquires. Could I have a word? Oh, yes, of course, Soseki-san. What is it? I think perhaps it could be fate we're meeting again like this now. You see, there's something I need to tell you. Oh? I believe that it may be related to the reason why your father summoned you back from England. This I have to hear. Please, Soseki-san, tell me at once. I will! I will! As you know, my time in England was terrible. Cursed, I have no doubt. Such awful things I was embroiled in. Thank goodness locum student Naruhodo-san Esquire stepped in. After he secured my freedom, I couldn't wait to get on a ship here back to my homeland. Having arrived in Japan, I submitted a report about my experiences to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The next thing I knew, I had a visitor. It was your father, Professor Mikotoba. He wanted to ask me all sorts of things about my report. My father? He seemed to be especially taken with a particular part of the report. Anyway, he left eventually, having thoroughly quizzed me. But it was the very next day that he sent the telegram to you asking you to return to Japan. What was it then? The particular part my father was interested in? I don't really know exactly. But do you remember them? Those 2 terrible cases I was caught up in? Of course, I could never forget. Your father seems to concern himself mainly with the second case. The second one? You mean the one Mr. Sholmes forbade any of us to talk about in public? What? Which is why the only case involving you that any member of the public is aware of is the first. Well, I don't care. I don't have to listen to what that dastardly detective says. Yeah, they mentioned 2 earlier, and I thought it was like maybe I was just forgetting something, but what happened? Anyway, the point is, it seems that case somehow holds the key to all these curious unanswered questions. That horrific, hideous, heinous case. The case of the haunted lodgings. That case somehow caused my father to summon me urgently back to Japan? I thought that whole business was over, but it seems I was wrong. Perhaps I was the only start. Perhaps the story is not yet told. To be continued.
So, the mystery of that English woman's death is solved, thank goodness. And having stood in the Supreme Court now, I think I can comprehend a little better. How you must be feeling as you fight for people's freedom in a foreign land, Naruhodo-san. But actually, I'm writing to you today because of another matter. I met Soseki-san and we talked about that second case he was involved in. Father has said nothing to me, but I feel certain of it. That case holds the key to some great unsolved mystery. My notes on the case should still be in the office, tucked away at the back of the shelves on the left. Perhaps you might like to look over them again.
Are we gonna get a flashback case?
For the first time this year, it feels as though summer has arrived. The sky is a brilliant blue. It makes me long to see you again. Yours, Susato.
Baby. So I'm assuming that the next case is probably going to be like a flashback to whatever case she's talking about that they weren't allowed to talk about. Interesting. Interesting. Alright. Well, that's fucking perfect. We finished the whole tutorial case in one session, baby. Alright. Oh, it's got a Sholmes on it. It's got a Sholmes on it. Alright. So, that's gonna be it for tonight. We shall continue this on Monday. I am very excited to see where this goes next. We're gonna have a flashback. I'm excited. This is gonna be good. What the fuck is going on? Alrighty, let's find somebody to raid. Who's working? Who is doing stuff? What's the ship name? Susato X-Ray. Good question. Discuss it in the Discord. Anyway, okay, it looks like Bea is streaming. Let's raid a Bea. Pachoo! Alright, so I'm gonna do my usual shilling. Thank you guys for joining. If you are new here, make sure you follow so that you don't miss any stream announcements, and you can come to every stream so that you can keep up with this lawyerly madness. Anyway, I'm gonna drop a few links in the chat. First of all, you can join my Twitter or my Discord to get stream announcements that post every time I go live. Hey, Streamlabs, you wanna... Oh, there we go. Okay,
I post notifications there every time I go live. The Discord is mostly for discussion of my webcomic, but I do have a channel in there specifically for talking about streams and such, so you can go join that. Also, hey, read my webcomic. It has nothing to do with Ace Attorney, but it's pretty good, I've been told. Also, if you like the Ace Attorney characters, I have stickers and will eventually have keychains of them on my online store, TheStarfishface.com, so go check those out. Anyway, we're gonna go raid Bia. It looks like they're working on some art today, so go raid their stream, yell star raid, and then say something nice about what they're drawing. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and call it for now. Thank you guys for joining me. I will see you all next time. Goodbye.